we are very jam-packed today with 6 guests, but we'll explain more about the blog system of voting. It'll be very interactive, just like it was before with the chat system and so on. So a big props to Moshe Kwiat. We thank him again. And Raphael and Moshe worked on that together. So, Raphael, you deserve credit as well.
Right, thanks.
And I just kicked back and enjoyed watching it, looking at it, watching the scenery. It's great. I'm very proud of it. Very proud to be associated with it as well.
Absolutely. And our first guest is Nadine Fouham, who is an Arab-Israeli tennis really star, playing at Duke right now in the United States, Durham, North Carolina, also known for their basketball team, obviously, and Coach K.
Coach K.
And really their football team, because their offensive coordinator was Peyton Manning's coach at Tennessee. So Peyton Manning spent all this summer, at Duke working out. But we're going to have her on. The story was featured on Times of Israel, got huge reaction, 359 likes on Facebook, and I think 20, 30 comments, and 57 tweets. So that's a lot. And it's a great story. And we're going to call her up right now in New York, I believe she's in. I'm not sure where she's at. She's in the States, though, right now. And we're going to talk to her about Israeli tennis centers. We're going to talk to her about a lot of things.
This is an amazing story, and Raphael will probably talk more of the sports end, and I'm going to talk more of the personal aspect of her life, because she grew up in Haifa, and she was the only non-Jew in her school, which is I find fascinating, because I did the reverse. I was the only Jew in a non-Jewish school, so I know what that's like. And I'm curious from her perspective if she received prejudice treatment. We're going to ask these questions, even though this is a Israel Sports Radio. If the Israelis in her school were prejudiced, that's not cool. That's not correct and appropriate.
Hi, am I speaking with Nadine?
Yes.
Hi, Nadine. Hi. You're on Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
We're doing good. I just want to introduce my co-host Ari Louis, who will be with us on the program as well.
Hi, Nadine. It's a pleasure to have you on the program. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And let's start off and talk about this article that was about you in the Times of Israel. And I just want to tell people a little bit about you. You're 22 years old, and what has it been like to be in the United States and play Division I tennis and be in a top 3 ranking, I believe? What has that been like for you as an athlete coming from Israel?
It's been an amazing experience, especially having such an amazing team at Duke. It was a great and competitive environment that I love to be in, and feel honored to be part of.
Okay. And at your time at Duke, like as I mentioned, you were number 1 in the tennis singles and helped your team to the number 3 ranking in the United States, which is just an amazing accomplishment. Why did you think that Duke was the right place for you to go to, and what kind of things did you accomplish there that you thought you wouldn't accomplish?
I felt that Duke was the right place for me. Besides the school part, which was amazing, and I met a lot of interesting people, had great professors, but the tennis part that I had, we were 9 sisters on the team. Literally, we would spend all our time together, and for one common goal, we were hoping to win the national championship. Unfortunately, we lost in the quarterfinals of the NCAAs, but it's been an amazing experience. We were worked with each other, improved each other. It's been a journey, really, and I loved every day on and off court with them, and it was totally worth it.
Right, and that's college sports is something where, if you get put in the right position and when you're in with the right type of people, it's just amazing things can happen. We've had a lot of athletes who played college sports, and they just say some of those people they expect to be their friends for the rest of their life. So tell us a little bit what you're doing now. Obviously, you graduated with a business administration degree, which is awesome. Duke's one of the best schools in the United States. So what have you been up to lately?
Thank you. Yes, and I was also a political science major.
Okay.
So I joined the Israel Tennis Center Foundation here in Manhattan, and I work as a development associate, raising awareness and funds for our social impact programs back in Israel. We use tennis as a vehicle to achieve them.
And how do you, how do you pitch that when you meet people if you're trying to help raise funds and try and get attention? I mean, with the how way social networking is, Facebook, Twitter, how do you go about promoting Israel tennis?
We definitely have our late leadership and the board that are very supportive and knowledgeable about the Israel Tennis Centers, but definitely we're trying to give it to the younger generation. That's why I work on our youth board and extend our committee. It's our work. We're definitely trying to use more social networking in general to bring more younger people and tell them about the tennis in Israel and the Israel Tennis Centers in general, because we have a lot of social impact programs that are close to my heart. Children at risk. We have our coexistence programs that bridges between Arabs and Jews. We bring 2 kindergartens, one Arab and one Jewish, on court and let the kids play together. It's very important to start from a very young age. And we do a great job, so we're trying to raise awareness here in the States and in Israel.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really important, everything that you said. And you're 22 years old and you were ranked number 1 at a top 3 school. What's your tennis career look like? I mean, are you aiming to play professional? Are you going to play semi-pro? Are you going to now just play when you have time when you're off work? Or what does that kind of look for you going ahead?
Yeah, it's funny because I think I did way better than I expected to do in college. So I started actually thinking about this and turning pro, or at least trying to. Right now I'm not. I'm still playing because I love tennis. And I'm thinking maybe to start playing some tournaments, see where I can go with it. But I will definitely play tennis for the rest of my life. And if I can make it to the next few tournaments I'll play, then I might consider it. But for now, I'm focusing on my job and playing tennis for fun.
And, tennis in Israel, it's becoming a more popular sport, with Shachar Pe'er kind of being the leader right now. But how did you decide, hey, I want to play tennis?
How did I decide?
Yeah, when did it come about?
Actually, my mother, that was her dream to play tennis, but her father couldn't afford it when they were younger. So the moment my brother and I were big enough to step on court, she made sure we were there. And we literally fell in love with the game right away. So I dropped all the other sports I was playing at that time and focused on tennis.
Hi, Nadine. You're now on live with Ari Louis here on the program. I wanted to ask you about your childhood, your upbringing. In Haifa, you went to a very prestigious Hebrew school, and you were the only Muslim in that school. And I know what that's like because I was the only Jew in a non-Jewish school in the United States. So I wanted to know if you could tell us, it was basically a weird experience, normal? Did the kids treat you like one of their own, or was there some prejudice towards you because you weren't Jewish?
For me, when I just entered the reality Hebrew school at age 6, I didn't even realize what I was doing, what my parents were doing, how difficult this decision was for them. But today I'm very, very grateful for that decision. My brother and I had a great time there, and it opened my mind. I feel like my whole life I was hearing both sides, which I feel very fortunate for that. and realize that we both want the same thing. We just want to live in peace. So it really did change my life or impacted my life in many different ways, and maybe that's why I work now on the coexistence programs for the Israel Tennis Centers, and also at Duke I was involved with a group called Peace or Pieces for Arabs and Jews to come together and talk about the controversial issues and try to see the problems from different angles. And I do believe in a better future for Israel because of that, and I'm working on it. So I hope we can do something about it. But definitely it's been a great experience, and I'm very happy that my parents made this decision.
Yeah, we certainly all hope for peace and better times here in Israel, and we hope that happens very, very soon. And another interesting fact that I read about when doing research for this interview, at your time at Duke, you were sort of a de facto Jewish teacher. You had Jewish students come up to you, ask you questions about Yom Kippur, other Jewish ritual, other Jewish tradition. I thought, I'll be honest, I thought it was a little sad that they didn't know that themselves. But whatever they have to do to find out, I guess, is the important thing. I would feel weird if a non-Jewish person started asking me about Christianity and I was considered an expert. What was that like for you to tell Jewish students about their own religion?
Well, they were my friends, and obviously being in Israel and being around this whole time, it's a little different maybe than going to public school here in the States. I was more than happy to explain and share my knowledge with them about the different questions they had. I didn't feel too weird about it, not at all, actually. I think it's good for everyone to know a lot about other religions or cultures. So if I could answer the questions, I was more than happy to.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you're now back with Rafael. I wanted to ask you, you've played in a lot of countries, over 30 countries, and you go and represent Israel. And I wanted to ask you, this might be a tough question, but what is it like representing Israel? Do you have anyone saying, you shouldn't represent Israel? Do you have, there's so many angles you could look at this. Are you proud to represent Israel? What are your thoughts about going to these tournaments and, let's say when you're competing against someone from Greece, they say, you're Israeli, and you go, yeah. So what is that like for you?
Well, I am Israeli. I have an Israeli passport. I'm a citizen of Israel, and I play for Israel, and I'm proud to have represented Israel in Youth Olympics and World Championships and European Championships. That's the goal everyone want to get to. I see no problem in that. I'm very happy I got to participate in all those tournaments. I never had anyone come to me, ask me why I do that or something like that.
No, yeah, that's good. Obviously, I wasn't saying that someone should. I was just wondering. I was just wondering. We're very happy, that you represent us, and you're really one of the stars in Israeli sports. And I was just telling Ari Nadine the other day, we were watching the Olympics, and we were just talking about how Team Israel was very disappointing in everything, really, sailing, gymnastics, tennis, everything. So we're always happy to have someone represent Team Israel, whether it be at the Olympics or at a tournament in Portugal or Greece or China or whatever. So that's great, and I think Ari has another couple questions.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about an incident regarding what occurred with the tennis team at JFK Airport. I like that your coach, Zahar, he stepped up on your defense, on your behalf, and he told the security officials that if they were going to check your bag, they would have to check everybody's bag because you were all a team and all together. And I wanted you to talk about the coach's impact, not just with that particular incident, but just in general, and how supportive he has been of your career.
Sho is a great, great coach and a better person even. And yes, it wasn't easy to go through security in Israel. I had some problems, and it felt really good to have his back and the team's back every time I traveled. The one incident I had with the Youth Olympics, I traveled, and I was the only Arab athlete among 40 other athletes, and I was the only one that was checked and had 5 people around me. It wasn't a good feeling, but my principal at high school, who was the spokesman of the Army in his past, stepped up too and spoke with them, and they decided actually to try to change it and work with that. And today my mom lectures to the security personnel in the airports about how to treat minorities in the airport in Israel. So it's been a great change. We are hoping to keep improving that because there is a lot of work. But try to take everything and make it positive. So hoping that is changing right now.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear that your mom's doing that. Something that's very, very, very important. It's never fair when that happens. And Ari, one more question I think for you.
Yeah, basically, I mean, we are very impressed and proud what you've been able to do. Obviously, it's not a simple situation, but as far as your career in general, a lot of people, they play while they're young, they play in college and so on, and then they move on to another profession. Do you have goals of Wimbledon? I mean, big dreams. Tell us what you're looking to accomplish in the tennis world.
In the tennis world. Right now, like I said, I'm not planning on going professionally, but I do use tennis for a lot of things, especially with the Israel Tennis Centers. Like I said, we have a lot of social impact programs in Israel that we use tennis as a vehicle to achieve them and help kids create more opportunities for children in Israel and through tennis. So that is my goal for the future, hopefully to improve our lives and children's lives in Israel and create a better future for the country.
Nadine, I just need to clarify. I made a mistake. I didn't mean as a player, but I meant involved as far as any aspect of tennis, like maybe as a coach or
administrator,
or a press person, that type of thing. Because tennis is so wide and it's such a vast in the world. It's one of the more popular sports worldwide. So would you be interested in that realm of the tennis sport?
Definitely. I mean, I'll always stay on court. I still play all the time, and I do love working with players, coaching, competing. So I will stay around the sport for a very long time. I'm not sure exactly how, but besides the Israel Tennis Centers right now, but I will definitely stay with tennis for the rest of my life in many forms.
Okay, great. Excellent. Well, we certainly appreciate your time here on the program on Louis Live and Israel Sports Radio. Best of luck to you in your future.
Thank you so much.
And thank you again for your time today.
Yeah, thank you, Nadine,
Thank you.
a lot. We really appreciate it.
Have a good day.
All right, you too. Thanks, Nadine.
All right, that was an amazing story. And again, it was fascinating for me because I know, Raphael, you grew up here, but I grew up in the States, and I sort of can relate to being a minority. But she seemed to have more of a positive experience than a lot of people who are the only whatever in a school. When you're the only, if you're the only Christian, if you're the only Muslim, you're the only Jew in a school, and everyone else is the other religion or another religion, it can be very difficult and a very hard experience. But she seemed to have a very positive experience. And I'm sure that was a tough decision for her parents to decide, let's send her to this school, even though it's not a Muslim school, but we think it's the best education for our child. That's not an easy decision for any parent, but that is the one they did. She seems to have nothing but a positive experience about it and nothing but positive memories about it.
Yeah, and I mean, no disrespect to the average Arab school in the area, Israeli school, not even Arab. I didn't even mean it that way. She went to a very good school.
A very prestigious school in Haifa.
Honestly, because she went to that school, chances are that she was able to succeed more.
She's at Duke, ladies and
Duke,
gentlemen.
right, and she was at Old Dominion, which are both top-notch.
These are Ivy League schools, and she would have
not Ivy League,
but close to
right.
it. She would have not been able to succeed at those schools had she not gone to this school at Haifa, unless she would have gone to another great school in Israel. But schooling in Israel, just like throughout the entire world, has a lot of problems. It is no different here. And the better ones, your private schools,
right,
your top-notch schools, you increase your chances of success in academics and in life. So that's the decision her parents made. She's very thankful for it, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And just graduated this past May, and the article was run this summer. It might even be written by Tracy. No, it wasn't. But a very good article, by the way. Everyone should check it out. It's how we found out about it, to be honest. I'll be very honest.
Also, there's a story in this story about her brother.
Right, her brother plays as well. We might have to get him on.
And I had very mixed feelings when I read about her brother, that they were at a dinner with her brother and 3 Jewish students, and it was on Friday night. They were asked to do Kiddush. The 3 Jewish students said no, and he did it. So it's one of those things. It's like, you know,
wow,
again, someone else is doing your religion for you because you're not doing it. I find it really weird. Not that it was his fault, her brother's fault at all.
Good for him. That
he stepped up. The Jewish students gotta look themselves in the mirror and go, we got to figure out how to do this if we don't know how to do it. That's my little musser for today's program.
Okay. Anyway, but yeah, no, she's in New York City right now, working for Israel Tennis Center, trying to give, helping out, and really her thing more. Besides the tennis, and I'll quote her, "I've heard both sides of my whole life. We all want the same thing, to live in peace." And she reiterated that throughout the interview. But, yeah, anyway.
By the way, I was recalling this. I don't know if you watched the Super Bowl or how you watch it in the past couple of years. But one of the years...
Wait, you talking to me, Ari?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I basically, 2 years ago, we watched it on METV, I believe.
Right, Middle Eastern TV, yes.
And those commercials, because of the television deals, they do not air your commercials that you would see on typical broadcasts. So you're not seeing the fancy car commercials.
You're not seeing American commercials.
You're not seeing American commercials.
No.
All we saw for 3 hours was a commercial for Bonanza, golf, and I believe this tennis center.
Yes.
So,
yes, you're right. That is true. That is very true, yeah.
When I read the story and I read the tennis, I'm like, oh, okay, I am familiar with their work. I saw that commercial for 3 hours straight during a Super Bowl broadcast.
That's funny.
And there was an IFL commercial in there somewhere as well with Johnny Joe Marticius threw a pass, but it was incomplete. And we still don't know to this day why they picked that shot for the commercial, but contact Uriel Sturm through the IFL, and he could tell you hopefully.
Or the J-Post.
Or the J-Post.
But
I won't give out his email in the air because he'll strangle me.
Further down.
Well, not further ado.
Further ado. I was
further ado. Yeah.
Further ado. We are going to be calling our East Coast Insider, by the way. Now, just so you know, Ari.
He's changed his title.
According to our website, yeah, we got to give him. Jim is our chief correspondent, and
all right. So Ari is our East Coast.
Is our Southern. We need a West Coast. We're working on it. If anyone out there is interested, let us know. And we're working on getting a soccer correspondent.
Okay.
Yes. We've reached out to someone.
Does Ari know about this? Does he know he's not just Philadelphia anymore? Did he know that we gave him a promotion?
I think he's happy about it.
Okay.
I don't know if he knows, but we're about to tell him.
Yes, we're going to tell him right here on the air, folks. So this is exciting radio. It's soap opera-esque, soap opera-like.
Right. We have him on for 20 minutes. Sorry, Ari, if you're listening out there. The Nadine thing went a little longer than expected, but it was a good interview.
Well worth it, obviously.
Right.
And Ari's a team player.
And Ari's absolutely a team player. And speaking of Ari, here he is.
I'll get right now. Ari Bluestein, welcome to Louis Live. You're on Israel Sports Radio. How you doing out there?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Doing great. I don't know if you know this or not. We bumped you up. We gave you a promotion. You are no longer our Philadelphia insider. You're our East Coast correspondent. We, of course, did a brand new website, which, of course, you're on it with a great picture of you broadcasting, and we titled you as East Coast correspondent. So how does that make you feel?
Makes me feel awesome. I'm going to have to get up and down the East Coast now rather than just sit here in Philadelphia to actually live up to that billing.
Well, sorry, go ahead, Raphael.
Yeah, I was just saying I was working on it with Moshe late at night, Ari, and I figured that you had the knowledge and you were capable.
Well, thank you very much. I definitely appreciate the promotion and title.
Absolutely.
Well, we're going to put you on the spot with this East Coast thing right now because me and Raphael were having a 30-minute discussion last night about the Brooklyn Nets, and Rafi thinks they're a 3 seed, even though
3 or 4 seed.
3 or 4 seed without getting Dwight Howard.
Absolutely.
I thought that was a little crazy. I don't know. Raphael puts his best argument forward. Maybe, maybe not. Tell us what you think. Are they a 3 or 4 seed next season? And don't be shy if you disagree with Raphael or myself. Either way is fine.
It's interesting what's going on in the Atlantic Division right now. You have to think about, all the other teams that made some improvements. The Celtics will still be there. My Philadelphia 76ers with the big trade to get Andrew Bynum. The Knicks, you never know with them. They have the talent. Already a 3 or 4 seed, I would, if I was a betting man, I would say no. I think they're going to be in the 5 or 6 range. I don't think they'll win the Atlantic Division without Dwight Howard. Are they a better team with Joe Johnson? Yes. They have Brook Lopez locked up. He's a solid center. Of course, Darren Williams, a very good player. But without Dwight Howard, I don't think they win the division. I think with what the Sixers did to get Andrew Bynum, they now have the best center in the Eastern Conference, and I think that Bynum would dominate Brook Lopez in any one-on-one type of matchup. So I would have to give the Celtics or the Sixers a leg up on the Brooklyn Nets at this point.
That was a center that for some reason we neglect in our discussion because we were thinking that Brook Lopez was the 3rd best center in the NBA. Bynum is better.
Right.
So, but let's get to that trade. This is the biggest trade of the summer, of course, Dwight Howard to L.A. Raphael is not the biggest fan of this trade from a Lakers perspective because he says Bynum is better. Bynum is certainly more of an offensive threat. I think that with Dwight Howard, he's won all those Defensive Player of the Year titles. In the playoffs, defense is what wins championships. Lakers have a true defender. Go ahead, Raphael.
Let me also add something, too. I remember you were saying, Ari Louis, that is, we were also talking about with Bynum, they were able to have more room and more space. I'm worried that with Howard, Ari and I were saying, or I was really saying, and Ari was agreeing, Steve Nash has never worked with a Howard type. It was Amari Stoudemire who could shoot the Jays, 18 feet, and Pau Gasol. He's never really been with a big guy, and when he was with Shaq, it was a failure. Steve needs to have that space to do the pick and rolls. He needs to have the space to cut in. If you have Pau and Dwight down low, it's going to be a completely different new team or a new look for Steve, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how these guys fit together. You mentioned about Nash, and he is a John Stockton type of point guard where he thrives off the pick and roll. Stockton and Malone did it for years perfectly. Will this work in L.A.? I think we should see. I mean, Nash will have to adjust his game a little bit. He'll have to get used to the play of Dwight Howard. Pau Gasol, he can step out and hit the jumper a little bit, so I think maybe he'll take on the pick and roll role a little bit. I still think the Lakers are the second best team in the Western Conference at this point. I still give the edge to OKC. Wow. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, just saying wow.
We're saying wow.
And you're not alone in this thought, but
we haven't heard this much.
We basically, to give you some perspective, on my Facebook, when I said the Lakers are now going to the NBA Finals, people made fun of me saying I didn't go out, mocking me, saying, "Oh, you went out on a limb, Ari Louis," by saying that. But there is the argument for the Thunder. Why is, in your opinion, the Thunder a better team than the Lakers right now?
Well, I think the Thunder are the obvious answers are that they're younger and more athletic. And you look at compare Durant to Bryant. Durant's the better player as of today, in my opinion. Durant is a better scorer than Kobe is. I think Kobe is still one of the best players in the NBA, but he's not the Kobe of old. So I got to give Durant the edge. You have to give the edge Westbrook over Steve Nash. I know Nash is more of a pure point guard, but what Westbrook can do, Nash just cannot do that. And up front,
Ari, can you hear us? I think we may have lost our East Coast insider, East Coast correspondent. We'll get him back on in a few moments. But just to touch upon what Ari was saying, there is the argument. This is not a slam dunk, pardon the pun, the Lakers going back. I'm picking the Lakers almost more out of a pattern type of thing, that we are destined to see Kobe Bryant versus LeBron James before Kobe gets out of the game. Also, generally teams that lose in the NBA Finals from one season don't go back to the NBA Finals the following season. It's very rare.
Leave me a message.
We got his voicemail.
It could be that interesting. It could be maybe his phone died or something. Let's give him a couple minutes. But, continue with what you were saying.
Well, I'm a big believer. Patterns run in everything in life, everything in the world, including sports. It's a big way I make my predictions, and I've been very good when it comes to the finals and the postseason because they all follow patterns. For example, just to brag about myself because it's my show and whatnot. In 2010, I said before the finals that the Lakers would win in 7, and I said that not of some type of basketball IQ, not because I thought the teams were so even, because of styles of play, but because it had been 5 years since we saw a series go 7 games. And on average, you see a finals go 7 games once every 5 years when you look at the numbers. 84 and 88 and 94 and then 2005. So I figured we were just mathematically due. So that's why I don't think the Thunder are going back. And I also feel, partly because they're such a young team, they're not as serious or as hungry as this Lakers team will be. Nash has never played in NBA Finals. Howard played in 1, ironically to the Lakers, lost in 5 games. And Kobe wants title number 6. I think he wants title number 6 more than Kevin Flag Football Durant wants title number 1. So it's these variables. I'm not going just on talent or skill. If I were, I would probably pick the Thunder. It's these other attributes, these other tangibles, the other situations with the Lakers. Ari just wrote me on chat. Let me ask if he is ready right now. This is interactive radio, folks. You, at this point, Raphael, do you have a pick between the Lakers and the Thunder?
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the Lakers. I don't know. Yeah, I think you got to take the Lakers. But, yeah, I think you got to take the Lakers just with the experience. I think they're going to have to figure a way how to work with Nash and Howard on the floor. I'm very concerned about that because Nash is not used to that. It's not how he plays. And when that happened with Shaq, it was a disaster because Nash likes the pick and roll, and Dwight's gonna pick and roll to the hoop and dunk it, but he's not gonna shoot it. And Powell, that's what was so great. I mean, I'm excited about Steve and Powell. Ari, I think that's gonna be awesome. I think that watching those two is just two foreign players.
But it is like a European game. Nash plays awesome. European, I think, because Nash is not a ball hog. He's not the quote-unquote point guard like Allen Iverson who will dribble the ball for 20 seconds of the shot clock and then take a shot. Steve Nash likes to run around and pass. The European style, we saw this at the Olympics, is very much pass-oriented, not take your man off the dribble, go out in the wing and shoot a shot or try to dunk on him. The Americans did that somewhat, but even the Americans almost got addicted and used to playing the European style where we saw them shoot over and over. You were saying, live by the 3, die by the 3. Americans got sucked into it. So Nash is more of a European player than an American player, in my opinion.
Right.
And Gasol, of course, is of Spanish origins, if you will.
We all know that from the game.
Yes. Even though he didn't play much of it because he had 4 fouls.
No, that was his brother.
Oh, excuse me, Marc Gasol. I apologize.
Mark Powell, it's confusing. But, yeah, I think will be interesting to see what happens. And I think a very important thing will be the bench. And the Lakers have just made some moves. So let's break that down as well for you guys because they just re-signed some guys. They brought back Devin Ebanks, who's a role player who went to West Virginia. So that was kind of important. As we mentioned yesterday, Ari, they also have Jordan Hill, who's accused of beating his wife.
And they have another criminal.
Matt Barnes, who's accused of not paying $26,000 in tickets when he probably has made at least, and this is $10 million in his career, and that's just being nice because I know he's made much, much more. But
there are sure games where he made $26,000 a quarter or a half, I imagine. Maybe it's a bit of a stretch, but at least a game he's made $26,000.
Right. When we get Ari on the line, I want to ask him about something revolving Bynum because this is a big story that's been going on. It's kind of a big news, and we're going to dial up Ari right now. But still, let me take this Ari Louis, that is, and then we'll kind of get back into the Laker talk. Unfortunately, this segment's going to be shorter with Ari because of the complications. Ari, you back with us?
Yes, I'm here, guys. Sorry about that.
No problem.
So good. You know what it is? It is those Laker demons that got upset at you for picking against them. David Stern has listened to this, Ari, and he has cursed you. You have made Stern angry.
Ari,
what was the last thing you guys heard when I was talking about OKC?
Yeah, give us your argument. And
yeah.
I'm not saying that you're off base or off the line for picking the Thunder. There is an argument to me. And actually, I was saying talent-wise, I agree with you 100%. It's patterns, which I'm into patterns. I think the Lakers are going back for that reason. But give us your answer why the Thunder are the team to beat in the Western Conference.
Right, and what I was saying as I got disconnected there was that OKC is younger and more athletic, and at this point in their careers, if you look at today, Durant is probably better than Kobe Bryant. And Kobe is still a great player, but Durant is the top scorer in the NBA. You look at Westbrook, I don't think the Lakers have an answer for Westbrook. And you look at the team that can defend Dwight Howard, I feel like OKC is in the best position to do that with Kendrick Perkins, one of the best low-post defenders in the NBA,
right,
and Serge Ibaka to defend. Yeah, right. Pau Gasol, he could defend Pau Gasol and come weak side to block Dwight Howard's shot. So I think defensively, OKC matches up well, and I don't think the Lakers have any answers for Durant and Westbrook.
Interesting. Ari, I wanted to ask you about something. It's become very, very popular thing to get this plasma therapy, and your new boy, Andrew Bynum, is making the flight over to Germania, as we say in Hebrew, so Germany, to get this new procedure, which is, as I mentioned, the plasma therapy when they inject something in your knee. Kobe Bryant, Grant Hill, A-Rod have all done it. I'm probably guessing that Kobe was the one that, told Bynum to go to Germany because Kobe also got in Germany. So, we haven't really talked about it, so let's get to it. You have a 24-year-old who's coming off his best season, 19 points a game, I'm rounding up, and 12 rebounds a game and 35 minutes a game. Not the injury guy we know. How excited right now are people to get rid of now Iguodala's gone and Bynum's the new man? Is this a franchise thing? Is he the face of the franchise for the next 10 years, 5 years?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, this is the last year of his contract, but the goal would be at the end of the year to sign him to that max contract of 5 years, $100 million or $102 million, whatever that max number is. He's a native of Plainsboro, New Jersey, which is only an hour away from the arena in downtown Philadelphia, the Wells Fargo Center. And I think that I've never seen this kind of hype around the Sixers in the past 10 years. I think the last time that the town went this crazy about the Sixers was when Iverson was here and the Sixers made that improbable run to the NBA Finals in the early 2000s. So I think that this is huge. Bynum is the new face of the franchise. The Sixers are under new ownership as of the beginning of last year, right before the lockout was done. And they wanted to make a big free agent splash. And they were first actually inquiring about acquiring Dwight Howard. But when that was not possible, when Howard just wanted to go to Brooklyn or L.A., the Lakers and the Magic pulled the Sixers in as that additional team. So then Bynum then came to the Sixers, which I think is huge, and it really changes the team. Iguodala, he was a nice player, but he basically took the Sixers as far as he could. But now it's time for a new era with Andrew Bynum and some other players like Nick Young, Darrell Wright, Jason Richardson, who was also acquired in the deal.
Right.
And then you also have some great young players with Holiday and Evan Turner. So it's really a nice thing to see the Sixers be in the conversation as not a contender, but as relevant.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a great trade for the Sixers because, as you mentioned, Jason Richardson a few years ago, or not a few years ago, maybe a while ago, an all-star, but definitely a guy who will be, he'll kind of be what Elton Brand did last year, except Elton was getting paid $1 million trillion, but he'll kind of be that old guy on the team who will be the leader and be counted on to, everyone will look up to him. But my question for you is, how should Andre feel about this? I mean, he's been the face. No one's been talking about him at all. I mean, this trade,
and he just won a gold medal.
Yeah, he just won a gold medal, and no one's really been talking about him. He just had his first All-Star season in 2012. Denver gets him. Ari, I remember having you on when that Denver Lakers series was looking great. Kenneth Faried was playing awesome, and they made a trade. They got Jamal McGee from the Wizards, of course. So, I mean, let's talk about the Nuggets. I'm tired of no love for Andre. He did a good job with the 76ers. Does this make the Nuggets a better team as well?
Yes, it definitely does. I think you look at this trade, and it definitely improved. I know you don't think it improved the Lakers, but I think overall it improved the Lakers. It definitely improved the Sixers, and it definitely improved the Nuggets when you look at what the Nuggets had to give up. They really didn't have to give up much to get Iguodala, who will be that nice complement as another swing guy with Danilo Gallinari, who is really maybe starting to turn into a solid outside shooter and a solid scorer in this league. Iguodala is one of the top one-on-one defenders in the league. He can really defend any solid wing player, shooting guard, small forward, what have you. He will be very good in the fast break game and the transition game, which is what he excelled at here in Philadelphia. And, in Philly, when you're talking about Iguodala, he was, much scrutinized because he was getting paid big-time bucks. He's making about $15-16 million a year, and he's really not that star player that demands that type of money. It just so happened that was the type of contract we needed to give him at the time a few years ago in order to keep him. But he really is a solid player for a good team, a great defender, a 10, 12-point a game kind of guy, and he'll get you rebounds and assists. And I think he really makes Denver better. Now, Denver is still in the middle of the pack in that conference because it's so good, but I think it does give Denver a better chance, especially defensively, against some of the better teams like the Lakers and the Thunder.
Right, and good for Andre because now the pressure will kind of be off him to be the face of the franchise. I think that was always a problem in Philly because he is a good player, but was he a great player? Could have his face on the poster outside of the stadium. I don't know about that. Now he goes to Denver where he'll still be a star player, but not the face of the franchise. And I've always loved Andre. He's a great defender, plays very hard. And as Ari mentioned, he won a gold medal. Let's ask you one more question before we have to let you go, and that's about the NL East. And, I still can't believe it. The Nationals are kind of rolling. And what do you expect? I mean, obviously we're going to have you on the next few months when things get really, really exciting. But what do you think is going to happen the rest of August? It's now the middle of August. A lot of things really are going to shape up the playoffs the next 2 weeks. So what do you expect in your NL East right now?
Well, I think the two best teams in the NL East right now are certainly the Nationals and the Atlanta Braves.
Right.
I think the Mets and the Marlins and the Phillies are out of it at this point, although the Phillies are playing better, so it's keeping our interest here in Philadelphia to see them win a few games with some of the new players that they have. But the Nationals, the biggest story with them is the Steven Strasburg story. Will they shut him down at 160 innings, which is what they said at the beginning of the year, and they're saying they're sticking to their story. What happens if they shut Strasburg down, and all of a sudden maybe the Braves make a run and they win the division, and then all of a sudden the Nationals have to play in that wild card game and they lose and they're done, where if they catch Strasburg playing and pitching, maybe they win the division and save themselves the stress of that one-game wild card playoff. So it's kind of a big situation that's going on in Washington right now. Now, I still feel they can win the division even if Strasburg doesn't pitch in September because they have Gio Gonzalez, because they have Jordan Zimmerman, they have a strong bullpen, and now with Jason Worth and Mike Morris back in the lineup, they have a very, very strong lineup, and they can produce a lot of runs. So I think ultimately the Nationals will win that division, and once they get to the playoffs, I think it's wide open in the National League. New teams like the Nats, the Reds, the Pirates, they're getting involved in playoff discussions. So it should be a very interesting National League playoffs, and also, like I said, with that NL East race and what the Nats do with Strasburg.
Yeah, and good for the Nationals. It's just an amazing story. We had the director of baseball operations, Ari,
for the Tampa Rays.
For the Tampa Rays. It's kind of
Chaim
Bloom. Very similar story there. Struggled for a long time, and now everyone else is laughing. Same thing with the Nationals. Got those guys, got those first-round picks, and now they're just rolling. So we'll have to see what happens. I think it's going to be very exciting. I'm going to start staying up late to watch some of these games. I know they're on
like Penn
TV.
And Race baseball.
Right. I watched last year's Tampa Bay game, the last night of the season, at 4 in the morning. That was one of the most exciting things I'd ever seen in my life.
The Red Sox debacle.
The Red Sox.
Fried chicken and beer.
Right.
They're going to make a movie about that one of these days, of the Red Sox debacle.
Documentary. Maybe Harvey Fromer will make it. You never know.
All right, it's certainly been a pleasure. By the way, I just want to point out something real quick in the Nationals because Davey Johnson's got to be the manager of the year. Oh yeah, he said. What didn't he say? If I don't make the playoffs, fire me. But not just that. His team, when you look at the plus run differential, is not at the top. But he's a smart manager. He knows when to make the right decisions and get the win. So Davey Johnson's the manager of the year without question. Anyways, we'd love to talk more about that. We will later on in different episodes. But Ari, we have to let you go. Thank you for being on our Louis Live edition, Tuesday edition. You are East Coast correspondent. Congratulations on the promotion, and we'll talk to you next week, buddy.
Thanks, guys. And real quick before I go, don't forget about Clint Hurdle of the Pirates doing a pretty good job in Pittsburgh.
Oh, absolutely. Andrew McCutchen, the National League MVP, in my opinion.
McCutchen's the MVP, but okay, that's an interesting argument.
Yeah, no, good. Former Rocky manager, right?
We can talk about that next week when I come on.
Right.
Okay, let's do that.
Sounds good, Ari. Thank you for joining us. It's always a blast.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right, see you.
Well. All right, that was Ari Bluestein. We're going to stay here and not take commercial break.
Right, we're not going to take a commercial break. Our next guest, a former Israeli soccer star. Very good show today. And everyone out there, our new website's awesome. There's little things we're working on, but for the most part, it's good to go. So it's
again,
really
thanks to Moshe Kwiat.
Right.
I hope Moshe's listening now because I was thanking him at the beginning of the show, but I know he wasn't listening because he was just leaving our studio.
Yeah.
But he did a tremendous job. It's great. The site not only looks great, but it functions very well. So Moshe did a tremendous job, and certainly we're indebted to him for just doing a fantastic job.
Absolutely. And we're now going to be dialing up our next is Tamir Lionheart. And very, very interesting guest. Played for Hapoel Tel Aviv, which is one of the huge soccer clubs here in Israel. Okay, I think we have him on the line. Hi, am I speaking with Tamir?
Yeah, this is Tamir.
Hi, Tamir. You're on Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, good to be with you.
And, let's start off and talk about your career because we're in Israel and Hapoel Tel Aviv is one of the clubs, especially in the last decade, very, very successful. So I got to ask you, just with all the stuff that's been going on with Tabib last year, everyone wanted him out. Now there's a new owner. Were you following that? Were you interested in that at all?
I can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear us better now?
Yes.
Okay, I was asking if you followed the whole situation last year with the ownership and how the fans wanted a new owner, and of course now there is a new owner. Were you interested in that, being a former Hapoel Tel Aviv player?
Oh, yes, I've been following everything that happens with Hapoel Tel Aviv for the past few years, actually since I left. And I'm aware of all the owner situation here, and actually some of the people involved are from the U.S., where I live now. And it was an unfortunate situation, of course. We all love the team, and we want them to do well. And it seems like there was a lot of disconnect between the fans and the players and the ownership. And I was actually in Israel, attended a few games a few months ago. And I think having Chaim Ramon joining the crew here and taking charge is a very good thing. And I'm sure it's going to make a big difference with the way Hapoel Tel Aviv is run. For me personally, I live in the U.S. at the moment.
Right.
Yeah, and what? Yep.
Sorry, we're having trouble hearing you. Can you speak a little louder in the phone?
Yes. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you better now. We're working with our equipment. We can hear you better now. So that was interesting to hear what you said. I wanted to ask you, I mean, last year there wasn't as much talent because a lot of the players moved on to Europe, Schechter and Sahar and so on and on. What do you expect at a next year's squad? Do you think that they'll go back to that elite talent? And I have to ask you, how impressed were you with Kiryat Shmona's amazing campaign last season?
Yes, first of all, regarding Hapoel Tel Aviv, I think the team will do terrific. Hello?
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah, I think Hapoel Tel Aviv will do a terrific job. They have terrific players coming. Amari and Ben Chaim, and a couple of good foreign players. So I think, again, Shirazi is a good coach, and I'm sure he's gonna build a great team that will run all the way.
Yeah, let's hope so. I'm personally a Hapoel Tel Aviv fan, so I hope so. And then about Kiryat Shmona, did you ever see that coming? Such a small team. Only about 20,000 people for our listeners in America who don't even know that's a city in Israel, very in the northern border. Were you surprised to see them win so easily last year?
Well, I was totally surprised. one of the biggest surprises in the history of Israeli soccer.
Right.
We all thought that either Maccabi Tel Aviv, Maccabi Haifa, or Apol Tel Aviv will win it, and that was an amazing ride. We were all shocked, but I think it's terrific that another team outside the top three, the top four teams win it, and it's going to be very exciting this upcoming year because they have one of the best coaches around, Gili Landau. He's a good close friend of mine. We played together for several years, and it seems like there's a chance for them to go to the group stage of the Europe for Champions League, which is an amazing achievement.
Oh, yeah, very, very good chance. They just, of course, have been playing the last couple weeks. Now, I want to ask you one question about the Israeli national team, and then we really want to get to Golden Boot Soccer Academy because we have a lot of listeners in the East Coast, and they really need to know about it because it's a great place. But I want to ask, what do you think the future is of our Nivcheret right now, our national team in English? Disappointment in the Euro. We never seem to be able to beat Greece. It's very frustrating for me as a huge fan. Yossi Benayoun is probably going to retire. Maybe he has. I'm not sure, from being captain and move on. But there's a lot of young talent on this team, a lot of young stars. Of course, a new manager, Fernandez, is gone. What do you expect from the national team in the qualifying with the World Cup?
I'm very optimistic because, as you said, there's a new generation of terrific players. Almost all of them play in Europe, which is going to be a major factor. They all play in a high level. They know the game. They play against great players in Europe. And I think the new players the new coaches that are coming in are terrific. They basically led Apol Tel Aviv into one of the best teams in the history. And Gutman is a wonderful coach, and Yossi Abukhsis is a friend of mine. We played together for years, and I know he'll do a terrific job. They're very talented, and I think between the coaching staff and the new players that are coming in, I'm very optimistic for the new campaign.
Okay, great. And now let's move on to Tamir. Golden Boot Soccer Academy. Of course, Ari is my co-host. He's over here. Ari, say hello.
Hi, Tamir. How you doing? Thank you for being on the program.
Hey, Ari.
Hey, Tamir.
How are you, Ari?
Hey, doing great.
And we checked out your website. It's very awesome. The programs seem really awesome. So, tell us, why does an Israeli, obviously you played college soccer at George Mason, we'll get to that, but why does Israeli go to America and do this? Why do you not stay in Israel? What do you see with the American soccer? I mean, there's so many great questions. So let's just ask, how did Golden Boot Soccer start? What inspired you to start this academy?
Yeah, first of all, as you said, I came to the U.S. and played in college. And after college, I played professional indoor soccer. As you know, in America, you have a league, that's arena soccer. And it's not just amateur, it's an actual league that was, the teams were owned by NBA owners. And we had over 10,000 fans a game. So it was a nice way to end my career. But when I retired from playing, my passion is soccer. And I wanted to stay in the game. And the natural thing, the next step for me was to coach. And I did not plan on staying here, but one thing led to another, and I started working one-on-one training with young players, and slowly the grew, and I was able to actually form a soccer academy. Started it 16 years ago, and it's still going. In Israel, it's different. Most players that want to play the game play on clubs, like Apol Tel Aviv youth teams, Maccabi Tel Aviv youth teams. In America, a lot of players play clubs that don't have a professional team. And there are over 6-7 million players in the U.S. And for me, the passion was, the goal was to help U.S. soccer progress and develop. And the last 15, 16 years, the U.S. is the revolution soccer here. Today is the third sport in America in terms of attendance. It's probably one of the best youth programs in the world today. And one of the major things that really is really exciting is women's soccer.
Right.
And as you know, they're the best in the world. I'll say half of our players are here. and half of our coaches are female coaches. It's wonderful to see the youth soccer in America basically explodes. And for me, it's just, I feel very fortunate to be part of it. Yeah. And I love living here in the U.S. Washington, D.C. area is a great place to live.
Yeah, D.C. is absolutely amazing. You're totally right. Ari and I actually have had this debate about soccer really growing and growing because I'm a big MLS fan, and it's really been amazing. And Montreal started off this year 65,000 people. The Portland team and Seattle Sounders, they get 40,000 people a game. So it's interesting to hear an Israeli who played professional soccer and competed in the UEFA Cup and all these tournaments say that there's talent in America and that you went to America because you went there, but you recognize that there's a lot of talent. I want to give you kind of a plug. Can you tell people how they can sign up, how they can check it out? And then we want to finish the interview with talking about your college career at George Mason because it's very impressive. But how can people check it out right now? If anyone's listening in America, how do they sign up to go to Golden Boot Academy?
Yes, the easiest way is to go on our website, and there are several programs. We work with clubs and summer camp, winter programs, provide coaches for teams. We have one of the programs today is the program for little kids, which we call Little Boots. And we're also starting a Golden Boots School of Soccer, and that's for ages 5 to 7, actually 3 to 7, which is the fastest growing segment of the youth soccer. And goldenbootsoccer.com is the place to. We, as of now, operate mainly in Virginia, Maryland, Washington, D.C., Pennsylvania, but we plan on growing to other areas. We may have a program in New York and maybe then Midwest and the West. But as of now, it's the Washington, D.C. metro area, Virginia, Maryland, and actually downtown D.C.
Okay, one last question before I let you go. You obviously, as referenced by Raphael, had a great, prestigious career at George Mason, and want to talk about the Hall of Fame induction. You're in their Hall of Fame. Certainly that means a lot to you. 3-year college career with George Mason, 2-time All-American. You are the Soccer America magazine MVP. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I guess let's start the Hall of Fame right there, that induction. What did that mean to you to go to George Mason's Soccer Hall of Fame?
Oh, it means a lot. George Mason is traditionally a great sports program, not even just soccer. And for me to play in the 90s and do well, it was an amazing achievement for me, I think those are the most exciting years of my life for college in the U.S. And to be able to get into the history of the program and just be part of the tradition, I'm very proud of it and very glad that I was able to do it.
Yeah, that's certainly just a great accomplishment, really, really amazing, and we were very happy you were able to tell us about it. We're happy you were on the program today. We have to run, but Tamir, we certainly appreciate your time here on Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Yeah, and everyone out there should check out Golden Boot Academy. It seems really awesome. Seems like you can learn under Tamir, who's really well known in Israel, for all our Jewish listeners out there, and it seems like he has a good staff. So, as Ari said, Tamir, thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me. Enjoy your day.
Tov, yalla. Bye.
Bye. Be well out there.
Yalla. Bye, Litot. Bye.
Okay, that was Tamir Lionheart, former Hapoel Tel Aviv star. No commercials. Going to keep it going. 2 more segments, and then we're going to take a commercial. This one now is with Jordan Schilt. I actually got this interview for one of my best friends, not in high school, but best friends, Andrew Bazzelli, who ran track at Haverford. He told me, hey, there's this guy who's playing in the Maccabi games. And you know what's hilarious? Ami, who's the head of all of Maccabi, remember Ami?
Of course, we had him on last week.
He told me about him in an email that he just walked in his room and said, oh, you were on Israel Sports Radio. I'm going on next week. So we're getting some buzz.
Oh, they're in the room with each other and told about it?
Yeah, because
okay.
He's the head of
all right.
And
that's where our vision, our dream, that the ESPN people in their cafeteria are talking about us.
Everyone's talking. So we're very excited to have Jordan on. We're going to just really go overview. We have about 12 minutes with him, so we're just going to go over his career, what he's accomplished. I believe he has another year left because he's class of 2013. A lot of impressive times. I'm going to talk more about the times because I grew up with cross country because all my friends ran. Ari's going to talk more about the accomplishments. We're going to dial him up right now. Very excited to have him on. It's great to have on, Ari, these young Jewish stars. We had on Nadine, and now we're going to have on Jordan. So 2 young Jewish stars in our first hour. What do you say, Ari?
It is the wave of the wave of the future.
Right.
Yeah. In these sports are coming on our program, so we're very honored to have them.
Right. We're dialing up Jordan right now. Ari will introduce him and start off with some of his accomplishments because 4-time, well, I'll let Ari say, but very, very impressive stuff. We're dialing him up right now. And, so far we've had a great show, an hour in, an hour left. Then we're going to do a great recap of the soccer tournament in the Olympics. And we have Jordan on the line right now.
Hi, Jordan. This is Ari Louis. You're live on Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio. How you doing out there?
Good. How are you?
We're doing great. It's an honor to have you on. And I want to introduce you to my co-host, Raphael Geller. Go ahead, Raphael.
Hey, Jordan. Thank you for joining us today. Andrew speaks well of you.
Well, thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I want to start. You have a lot of impressive records, personal records, great accomplishments. 4-time NCAA Division III All-American. What did that mean to you? Tell us when you get the phone call, or maybe nowadays they send it through email, I'm not sure. When you find out that you're an All-American, tell us how you found that out and what it meant to you.
So how it works for cross-country, you have to be in the top 35. You find out that day. And for track, you have to be in the top 8 in your event.
Top 8, okay.
Yeah.
So did they contact you through phone call? Your coach came up to tell us of the actual process of them contacting you.
Or just the time, he's saying, I guess. You could tell by your time.
Yeah, at the meet. You're saying for, the All-American honors, you just, find out right then.
Okay. And once you found that out, did it sink in right away that you're an All-American, or did you kind of think about it later on of what you were able to accomplish?
Kind of depends on the race, I guess. The first time when I was a sophomore, I guess it was kind of a shock, because I hadn't been there before. I hadn't competed with those guys. It was the first time, I was able to finish the Nationals cross-country meet. It was great because, our team won Nationals that day too, so it was just, a really incredible experience. It's different. This past spring, when I was second in the 5,000 at D3 Nationals, or for Outdoor Nationals, I knew I could be up there because I was the number 2 seed going into the meet, but I was actually slightly disappointed because I wanted to try and win the race, but second is still a great finish, and I'm pretty happy with looking at the results. So.
Now, one of the things I always like to ask when we have top-notch athletes in the program is their training regimen, training schedule. Tell us what you do every day. How much are you running? Are you lifting weights? Are you not? What are you eating? Tell us, for all those listeners out there that want to do what you have done, what do they need to do to get it done?
Really the trick is staying healthy. I've battled with injuries over the years, and really, you just got to have consistent training, solid training, and making sure you can build each year, and just keep a good, solid mileage base, and getting some speed workouts on occasion, but stay in the 80 to 90 range with mileage, and getting a couple speed workouts here and there.
Okay, and now your college, particular Haverford, was also a great academic institution. And do the students treat you a little differently that you've excelled athletically, or do they think it's not such a high top priority because it's such a great academic institution?
Well, I'd say everyone respects each other's accomplishments, but I don't know. Everyone is just so incredibly talented in their specific area at Haverford, in the classroom and outside the classroom, that, sometimes you don't even know, the person sitting next to you might be, publishing articles in some science magazine, or, the person sitting next to you on the other side could be, a publisher or someone, yeah, I mean, there was someone who was like this great musician, and one of my class and I had no idea for 3 years.
So
but,
pretty...
that just happened. I think everyone at Haverford is pretty modest about their accomplishments, and it's pretty cool.
That's what I was going to say. They were pretty humble about it. They're just walking in.
Yeah.
Is it perhaps they want the student life? They want to have a normal student college experience?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Is it that you think they want to have a normal college experience and just be a regular kid, a regular student, and maybe that's why they are a little low-key and on the down low about their...
Yeah, I think, everyone goes to Haverford for the community aspect. They want to, let's see. Yeah, they don't really want to boast about their accomplishments, and they want to just learn more. They want to go to school. Sorry, there's an echo in the radio. I don't know if it has to do with the volume. By the way.
Okay, we'll try to adjust that.
Yeah, we adjusted it now. I wanted to ask you, or actually tell our listeners out there that might not be familiar with the way sometimes Division III sports work. You guys compete against a lot of Division I programs, correct?
We do, yes.
Right, and so I know that as a person who's a huge college basketball fan, and most of our listeners are college basketball fans, college football fans, they might say, "Oh, we're having someone on from D3. That's no big deal." So I want to make people know that's not the case at all. Haverford is known as one of the best running schools in all of NCAA. Forget D1, D2, D3. It's just the size of the school. So that being said, Jordan, how were you recruited to go to Haverford? How did you hear about it? From what I understand, it's a school of 1,200 people. Obviously, the running program has a great reputation, but who approached you about it, and how do you decide to go there?
Well, coming from Florida, it took a lot of research to find a really small, basically Quaker school in Pennsylvania. But, as soon as I talked to my coach, Tom, I really wanted to go to this place. I just have so much faith in him. And, he coached several professional runners back in the day, including Sidney Marine, Marcus O'Sullivan. And he's coached, so many NCAA champions and All-Americans. And, I just have, so much respect for what he does. And he's, probably the hardest working guy I know. And I just felt really comfortable working with him. Plus, I wanted to go to a smaller school, and I wanted, change and location. I wanted to, explore from Florida and go to somewhere in the Northeast. And yeah, it was just a great fit, and it's a good academic fit for me too.
Yeah, and I know that there's guys that you mentioned have gone there who've decided to pursue their dreams and become professional runners. I know Tim Schock from my time in Bloomington is kind of working on that, or was working on that. What are your future goals? I mean, you still have another year in college, correct?
Yes, I do. Okay.
So what are your aims for when college is over? Are you just going to, get a degree and go into that profession? Are you planning to become a professional runner?
Yeah, I mean, that's the plan, become a pro runner and see where it goes for a few years. I've talked to my parents about it, and we've all just kind of agreed, why not? While I'm young, just kind of, while I'm still improving, go after the goals that I set, several years ago, and, really try and, see if I can qualify for the Olympics or something. You only have one shot to do that. But you can always go back to grad school later on, or you can always, start a job a little bit early. But I think doing some type of part-time job and basically trying to run full-time, that's, I don't know, it would be such an incredible experience. And, I don't want to live with this, what if scenario in my mind. I want to just, test it out and say, well, at least I tried, and, it might work out for the best, so you never know.
Right, and, we know from NBA and college football and all that stuff, guys want to get drafted into the NBA. So or drafted into the NFL or et cetera, NHL, everything. What, you finish, you graduate college, and what's next? How does a professional runner become a professional runner for people out there who aren't familiar?
Well, there are a few running clubs around the country, and the Hamptons Brooks Distance Project is one popular one, and that's like it's mostly like a marathon training group, but they're known for having like this really like strong, cohesive team, and so like that's one option. There's the Oregon Track Club out in Portland, and there's a few like around the country, and they kind of have there's the New York, New Jersey Track Club, and with Frank Gagliano, and they call him Gags, and that's like let's see, they train at Rutgers University, and that's more of like an 800, 1500 group, and OTP is like kind of all over the place. They have actually some decathletes, at Eaton trains with them, and they have anywhere from the 800 to 10K. And then there's a couple other like really small groups like around the country, and I guess there's a fair amount of athletes that just stick with their college coach and just really work one-on-one and have some people to train with, but they're just staying in the area that they're comfortable with. So so there's a few different options you can, a few different like routes you can choose, and it really depends on the person. But ideally you get picked up by a shoe contract, and or a shoe company have a contract, or if you join one of these clubs, oftentimes they have a shoe contract already once you join the club, so you like in effect get like a shoe deal. But I guess Team Indiana Elite, where you're from, they have like I think they're funded by Brooks, but they have people that are running for Brooks or for Nike or Asics. People have like slightly different deals depending on like their abilities or who they sign with. But,
interesting.
Yeah, there's options.
And I wanted to know, is it exciting for a runner who especially wants to become a professional runner to watch the Olympics? Because it gets a lot of attention. Most of the other meets are probably not on TV, I'm guessing. Or if they are, they're hard to find, or they're on ESPN2, or they're on a lot of random channels. But is it exciting to watch, your idols on HD and know that everyone else is watching? How did you watch the Olympics this summer?
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, like, if you want to watch any of the Diamond League meets, you have to, like, find some stream online with, probably gets taken down because it's illegal, but,
Right.
they just have, like, streams somewhere, but, the Olympics, it's really easy to have the NBC streaming live, and you can watch it again on television if you want the replays. But, I basically watched every moment of it, and, I was at work and just so excited when I saw the 10K, like, Galen Rupp getting second, and his training partner Mo grabbing the gold. And, it was almost like an American victory. They both train in Portland, and seen both of them go 1-2, and they just like improved so much over the years. It's really incredible.
Okay, and last question before we let you go, Jordan. You will be competing, or you were selected for the 19th World Maccabi Games, which will be here in Israel next summer. How excited are you for that? I mean, this is your first time. I think it's your first time. How did you find out this was happening? What do you think you're going to bring to your team? And tell us a little about how you feel about the whole experience.
Yeah. So like I'm so excited. Like I have to try and like calm down a little bit about it because it's 11 months away. But I have a long racing season, a long year of racing ahead of me. So I have to like kind of pace myself throughout the year. But yeah, I'm going to be racing the 1500, 5K, and 10K, and we'll see if I can win 3 gold medals. We'll see what my fitness is like, and so I know that I can be like, at the very least, like a strong leader for the team. I have like a lot of experience with like racing at the national level, NCAA, and hopefully I can help lead the team, help lead the U.S. like very strong performances. And I'm just so excited to be there. I haven't been to Israel in quite a few years, so it'll be nice to go back. And hopefully I'll have a couple teammates there too. So it'll be nice to have like a little team within a team racing there, and
right,
it'll be great. And that'll
that'll be awesome. I know that we're looking forward to hosting it in Israel. It's going to be very exciting. I believe when I was young, I grew up here. It was also hosted here. It's been in a lot of different places around the world. But, yeah.
Jordan, by the way, before we let you go, I want to extend an invitation when you're out here in Israel to come in studio. We can do this interview in studio. What do you say to that? I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Great, yeah. I really look forward to that.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you so much.
As far as this interview, we have to move on, and we appreciate your time here on Louis Live in Israel Sports Radio. Good luck to you and the rest of your career, and we look forward to seeing you here in the Holy Land.
Thank you, yeah, and good luck with the show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, see you guys.
See ya. All right.
Nice young man.
Yeah, nice young man. That's very polite, very mannered.
Good humility.
Very American. That's very American.
And his college, as I mentioned, a very elite college, so you know he's smart as well in addition to athletically talented and gifted.
Right. But now, let's call David Weissman, and Ari is going to start off with a little joke that David and Ari
I'm going
have
to eat some
going
crow.
on
Yeah, there's no little joke.
with the WNBA and Russia and Diana Taurasi. But I'll let Ari start this interview off. We have about 12 minutes with him, with David, and we're going to recap, Ari, the Olympics, just the basketball. You can talk about the basketball. I'll talk about the soccer finals. Just was this one the best Olympics ever? Opening ceremony, closing ceremony. We'll do that, all that in about 12 minutes. And then we'll take a commercial, and then we'll have Leander from ESPN finish off the show. So we're going to dial up David right now, and I'll let Ari kind of start this off just because
I always love eating crow.
There's some...
Of course.
Yeah. Right.
We're calling Israel.
We're calling Israel. We're not calling America.
Yes.
But that was very funny from what I hear. I wasn't in studio when this
right,
happened.
this was last week. Right, it was Tuesday. To give the audience some reference, it's material on the air. David was mentioning that Diana Taurasi and Suber were teammates, and I corrected him to say they were not teammates because of the WNBA they were not teammates, but on the Russian team they were.
Right, and that's what he was talking about.
That's what he was talking about. So
right.
I'll go apologize. I'm a man. I commit when I'm wrong. There's
You're
no problem
both
with
right.
that.
You just were, yeah, kind of.
I guess you could say that if you want to be really nice. They were both right.
It's been a diplomatic type of show.
Yeah, absolutely. So when David comes on, I'll be able to extend my apologies. Hi, David. This is Ari Louis. You're live on Louis Live at Israel Sports Radio. How you doing out there?
Very well, thank you. Yourself?
It's doing great. It's great to have on our Olympic expert, David Weissman, on the program. And, David, I will eat some crow right early in the interview. Last week, you said Diana Taurasi and Suber were teammates, and I falsely corrected you saying they were not because of the WNBA they are not. But you meant as far as the Russian team, they are teammates. So my apologies to you.
No worries.
Okay, just want to get that out there. Let's go on to men's basketball, the gold-winning team for the U.S. Now, this game was 7 points of a difference, and I'm of the opinion that if Ricky Rubio was on the Spanish team on Spain, they would have won. I think the U.S. did not look their best, and I'm very confused by it because the U.S. has 12 NBA players on the team, and the Spain team has only a few. So why was this game so close, and how was the team from Spain able to be so competitive?
It's a very good question. I think they were able to play, the Spaniards were able to play the game on their terms, slow down the tempo, and really play it at a pace that the Americans weren't used to. It took them out of their comfort zone. On top of that, some of the Spanish height really caused the Americans a lot of the problems under the rim, and they were really able to expose the lack of the Americans having a true center. But at the end of the day, they just didn't have enough depth to go the full distance.
Also, when we were dissecting this game last night on the program, we were talking about the future of both the U.S. and Spain. And some of the players for the U.S. won't be there. Tyson Chandler most likely will not. Kobe Bryant most likely will not. The Spanish team, though, is young. They're going to be able to upgrade. Are they? I don't want to say they're the favorites for gold, but are they the favorites to give the U.S. the hardest time in 2016?
Potentially. I mean, with it being in Brazil next time, the home crowd could really spur the Brazilians on, and also Argentina. The Argentinians are very competitive at the Olympics, and what you might find is that being in their home continent as well, that they go for it. And of course, the Argentinians won gold in 2004. It could be a number of countries. If Russia were just a little bit off the pace, and if they step up, and continue their good performances, and they might make that extra step. I mean, it could be wide open. A lot depends on the squad that the Americans take, because it seems to be that this team marks the end of an era and the changing of the guard, so to speak.
Now, I want to talk about Bolt, the 3 golds, and in every Olympics there's a star. There's at least one star, if not a couple. I kind of think he is the star. Ali is, for us, for the Jewish people, the star because she won gold. But is there any doubt that Bolt is the star of this year's Olympics?
If you listen to him, there'd be no doubt. He was very keen to tell everyone he saw that he was a living legend. And I think that, I spoke to you 2 weeks ago regarding Michael Phelps, and I said that, his sort of form leading into the games was similar to Usain Bolt, but, he really just blasted them away on the track, has now got done the double-double, done the 100-200 twice, and it really puts him head and shoulders above anyone else. And he's already talking his chances in Rio down of making it 3 times, but I think you can already say that his place as a legend of the sport is safe. He's just that good and dominant.
Now, we'll talk more with Jim Williams about this tomorrow, about the business side of sports, but I want to get your take on financially. I've heard that a gold medal, the difference between a gold medal and a silver medal, as far as endorsements, is worth about $40 million or so. It could be different now. Bolt's endorsements, how much do you expect him to make in the next couple of years?
Yeah, I mean, people are talking about something in that vicinity, just with his personality and with his recognition. And, he's already had a lot of sponsorships already and a book coming out. The potential's endless. There was a bit of a backlash with him and Carl Lewis when Carl Lewis sort of insinuated that maybe he was not entirely kosher, and people didn't really like the way that he responded to Carl Lewis. But, by and large, he has a pretty good image and a very good brand. And yeah, he could be making money in sort of the very big figures.
All right, David, it's Raphael. Thank you again for joining us. Always a pleasure. And let's quickly recap this Olympics. Soccer game was very exciting. Everyone expected Brazil to win just based off pure talent. I mean, Brazil has 5-6 guys who are going to make over 20 million pounds in Europe, so where the Mexican team probably doesn't even get that much, the whole team combined. So were you surprised a little bit by Brazil falling a little short in the finals?
Yes and no. I mean, they've never won the Olympic gold medal, and it's always been the holy grail, especially in like the last 20 years when it's become a thing that they haven't won, and every time they don't win, it becomes more of a thing. They had a very easy group with Belarus, New Zealand, and another team that at the moment escapes me. But thereafter, they were very lucky to beat Honduras, who they beat 3-2. And then against Korea were also lucky because the Koreans had they were lucky to get by them. But the thing is that Mexico scoring a goal in the first minute really knocked the wind out of them, and they were on the back foot for the whole game. And then, the Mexicans scored again, and then they were really frustrated, and then panic set in. They scored right at the end and had a clear header right at the death to force it into extra time. It just didn't happen. They were a very talented team, and they're going to be hosting the next World Cup and the next Olympics. So if they don't do it then in 2016, then questions are really going to be asked. It was their first gold medal game since 1988, where they lost to the Soviet Union. So even though they're always the most talented squad, it's taken them a while to get there. Mexico just jumped them at the start, and that was it. But on paper, for sure, you would expect them to be the favorites.
Right, and just I believe the team in the group was Egypt as well.
Yeah, and it was South Korea that they beat in the semi-finals, and the Koreans were unlucky not to have a penalty. And in the end, it turned into a comfortable 3-0 win for the Brazilians.
Right, and we have about 3-4 minutes left. Let's kind of talk about this Olympics. The opening ceremony was really amazing. The closing ceremony was amazing. Was this, you've covered, of course, the Sydney Olympics. Was this one of your most memorable Olympics in the last 20 years, 30 years? What did you think overall of just the way the events were handled, the preparation, just overall? What would you grade this Olympics? What would you give the British Olympic Committee?
It was a fantastic Olympics. I'd give it like a 9.5 out of 10. And I think what you find with every Olympics is that, in all the years leading up to it, there's a lot of scandals and controversies about this. But once the sport actually begins and the athletes take center stage, then, it becomes wonderful, and it just becomes about the athletes. I think the success of an Olympics depends on the way the host nation performs, and the British had quite a slow start, but once they won that first gold medal, and then they dominated the rowing and the cycling, and then Mo Farah won his gold, and all the gold sort of rolled in, and they all became a lot more collectively happier. Then it sort of really became a lot more festive, and they were enjoying it because it was part of it. There were a few little things here and there, and we've just also had news that a shot putter, the gold medalist, had been stripped of her gold medal for drug use. But by and large, it was fantastic and went off without a hitch. And, Brazil has got its work cut out for it if it's going to have host the games of similar quality.
Right, we have about a minute or two left. We're going to have you again on the program to talk some EPL. But real quick, the season started off on Sunday, the inaugural first game of the season, annual first game of the season. Chelsea, Man City pulling away at the end 3-2. Of course, all the games will really be picking up this weekend. Just real quick, David, give us your top 3 in the table by the end of the season, by pretty much May.
Both Manchester and Chelsea. It's very hard to see anyone else getting up there. Arsenal look like losing Robin van Persie to Manchester United, so that's going to be causing them more problems. But 2 Manchesters and Chelsea.
Okay.
All right, David, we appreciate your time here on Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio. We'll have you on again real soon. I was happy to eat crow. You were right, I was wrong. And that's what counts. So, David, thanks for your time.
We were both right.
There we go. I like that. Okay.
Right, both right.
That sounds good. We were both right. All right, be well there, David. We'll speak with you soon.
You too.
Thanks. David.
Be well. Bye.
All right, that was David Wiseman, our Olympic correspondent for the 2012 London Olympic Games. Games are over, of course.
Did a good job with us. Came on twice. Knows the stuff about. You can ask him about the sniper shooting or the volleyball or the badminton. He knew everything about Team Israel. So we're very happy we could get hold of him. Of course, he was part of that. The amazing group that was Follow Team Israel Olympics 2012, which at the end already got 3,200 likes. He was the sports expert there, so we were very lucky.
I think the group was more successful than the actual team.
That, unfortunately, is very true.
There's no research committee to figure out why the Facebook group sucked. But there is for the team.
There is. Ari and I talked about that the other day. And
there is for the Olympic team.
Yes. No medals. No medals since '88, I believe. Very disappointing. Everyone who was supposed to get a medal finished around 5th or 6th, which is just not acceptable. This is something. I'm not the athlete, and I'm not ripping any athletes, but we need to get one medal. everyone then started coming out with these facts about we've had more Nobel Prizes than anyone in the world, and that matters more. But this is sports. It's the Olympics. Enough. Yeah, we're smart. Everyone knows that. We're smart people.
Like, if America lost the gold medal game, they wouldn't say, well, we won World War II.
Right, exactly. I mean,
it's true. They did win World War II, and that's more important than the Olympic Games, so we're talking about the Olympics right now.
Nobel. Yeah, exactly. Good point. Like, good,
If you're not interested in the Olympics, then don't watch it and don't put a lot of money to it.
Websites that, I hated seeing on all the talkbacks. Well, at least this. No, it's with the articles about the Olympics. Talk about the Olympics. I mean, it's very disappointing. I know the athletes trained very hard. That's not the issue. The issue is maybe the coaching. Did they train too hard? Maybe they didn't train. I don't know. Something happened here that made all of them choke. Not just one of them, not just two of them, all of them.
You don't think that their talent was that bad?
No, it was all just their time. No, because it's times, and let's say it's all times and things that they've accomplished in practice or in other meets. No, they just were very disappointment.
They just didn't execute.
Yeah, didn't execute. It's not like that they didn't have the talent. They performed it better in world championships or regional championships. When I say regional, I mean with Europe, because the Muslim countries won't
play us.
So I mean Europe. There's no regional championships anymore, unfortunately. But yeah, that's another thing. Anyway, let's take a commercial break because we're due.
Our first one in 90 minutes.
First one, 90 minutes. We just couldn't take one today because we didn't have time, but we kind of have time now. We told Leander we'd call him at 30, but since we're going to take him to the end of the show, I think we can go. So you're listening to Louis Live.
You're listening to Louis Live on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
And the store. All right, what about the store?
Click on the tab.
Oh, yeah. I think we have a tab on the new website for the store.
Oh, that's... Actually, I'm not sure if we do yet, but we will have it. When we do, check out the store.
New website.
Check out the new website. If you're listening to us on TuneIn, go ahead and type in IsraelSportsRadio.com and check out the great site that Moshe Kwiat made in conjunction with Raphael Geller. They did a fantastic job, and it was really tremendous. It still is tremendous.
Shout out to Moshe. He did everything. I just helped with plugging all the info and writing stuff. But, yeah, he did a great job.
He's a computer guy.
He is a computer guy here, and the occasional host guy. Not so much, but more the computer guy and the all-around helping me with everything guy. So
and all-around nice guy.
Yeah, great guy. Yeah, let's take a commercial. On the other side, our kind of creme de la creme guest. Everyone's always obviously been a great guest, but he's an ESPN senior writer, and it's very hard to have these guys on, especially since the season's starting this weekend. So let's take a commercial and be back in 3 minutes on Louis Live.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Cass, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham.
Mike Pitts. Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Sports Strain CC, compression fit, UV protection, moisture wicking, anti-odor, and physique enhancing. Certified by the Circle K. Sports Strange is a revolutionary CC garment that features high performance properties and a compression fit, offering the wearer ultimate comfort and style for sports and everyday wear. Custom logos and team jerseys are available. For orders, please visit TamirGoodman.com. That's TamirGoodman.com.
Broadcasting live from Jerusalem, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Support Barak Netanya, Israeli professional basketball team, as they give back to the children of Netanya through Netanya Hoops for Kids. Netanya Hoops for Kids serves all of the children of Netanya, especially the ones that need us most. Through basketball clinics held by professional players, at-risk children learn life skills like teamwork, communication, discipline, and community responsibility from real-life heroes. Netanya Hoops for Kids partners with the municipality, schools, and local nonprofits to bring thousands of children to basketball games each season. Join us as a donor, partner, or fan. One city, one team, one family. www.netanyahoopsforkids.org.
The biggest names in sports are all on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJing parties throughout Israel, birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music, and DJ Venom will turn your event to the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
This is Dimitri Salita, and you're listening to IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Building love of Israel, one sports fan at a time. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back here on Louis Live and Israel Sports Radio. We've had a great 98 minutes. We've had 5 guests up to this point. We're now going to have guest number 6.
From the great establishment of ESPN.
Yes, indeed.
Leander, who's come on before. Very excited to have him on. And then Tommy Smith will be on later in the week. Thursday, right. And then tomorrow, in-studio guest
Radio Mike from Kew Garden Hills.
Broncos Mike, there's Radio Mike, there's Rusty Mike. There's a lot of Mikes out there.
Yeah, we talk about Michael and David seem to be 2 of the more popular names. Sorry, go ahead.
All right, am I speaking with Leander?
Leander, can you hear us? Okay.
All right, we're having problems.
Yes, we'll try him again. So, of course, we'll get in touch with Leander from ESPN in a few minutes. But just while Raphael sets it up to talk about Radio Mike, he's a big fan of the show. He's a caller, of course. Those of you who've listened to Louis Live in the past year know that he's been part of the family of callers since the summer of 2011.
Right.
So he's been on. He has made his own Radio Mike T-shirt to give you an idea of how much of a fan he is. And me and Yossi G met him in January. He took the 2 of us out for lunch. So he had his Radio Mike T-shirt on. For those of you that are friends of me at Facebook, if you want to be stalkerish and freakish and weird, go through my photos and you'll see a picture of a man wearing a Radio Mike T-shirt. It says Radio Mike is a sports radio. And Radio Mike has now made Radio Mike Kippot, which I'm told he's going to bring tomorrow. So
really?
He loves being Radio Mike. He loves being his character. So he'll be in studio. He was in studio in January. He host a show with me. And I remember talking, that was right around when Manny Pacquiao announced his fight with Timothy Bradley. We kind of laughed that off. Who's this Timothy Bradley guy? Doesn't matter. And, of course, Bradley got the upset, rightly or wrongly.
Yeah, still think, not a boxing fan, but
most
my
people say
father
Pacquiao
is.
won.
You know my father's a boxing fan. You guys went at it the other night. But, yeah, I think...
Right, we were talking about Sugar Ray Robinson.
Just the old school. But, yeah, let's try and get Leander again.
But so Radio Mike will be in here tomorrow, and Jim Williams will be on, 7-time Emmy Award winner for the Washington Examiner, as he is every Wednesday, or potentially.
Yeah, let's take a commercial.
Oh, okay.
We'll be right back after this commercial.
This is Louis Live.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Cass, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham.
Mike Pitts.
Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Live radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
All right, back here on Louis Live. We're gonna dial up Leander again. Hopefully get a hold of him. I was really looking forward to speaking with him. So far, we've had a great show. Hopefully, even if we can't get a hold of him, we will in the future. But let's hope we do. He picked up. I think he could probably hear us. Or you never know. It's hard to do these things when you call a lot of different countries in one show.
Or if you call their cell phones and so on.
Right. I mean, we've called now New York, Tel Aviv, Philadelphia, where Ari in Philadelphia, 2 people in Philadelphia. So let's try and get Leander on because he's a great guest. So 1 second.
Yes, indeed.
Dial him up.
And so Jim Williams will talk about the business side because I'm really curious how much money these athletes have made. You're talking about, again, gold medal winner makes a lot of money. Okay. Hello, Leander, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great.
Great. You're on Louis Live on Israel Sports Radio. We're very happy to have you on. What's new with you? How are you doing?
Oh, not much. Enjoyed the Olympic tournaments. I'm writing for FoxSoccer.com now, which I wasn't the last time we spoke, so that's cool.
Wow. Congratulations.
Okay. Yeah, great. That's awesome. And let's go right at it. We just had our Olympic expert or correspondent on, so let's start off with the soccer tournament. I'm very excited to get an explanation from you on this, just because it's so interesting to me. It shows to my co-host Ari, who's not the biggest soccer fan. Ari, this is
I'm
why
starting to come around a little bit, though.
Okay, but this is why I love soccer. A team, Brazil, that's just loaded with young talent, really in every position, can't win against a Mexican team that, don't get me wrong, is very talented, but not nearly as talented. Help us, break down that game. Obviously, the quick goal really gave a lot of momentum to the Mexicans. But were you impressed with Mexico's overall tournament?
I was impressed, yeah, because they're one of the teams that grew into the tournament, and you tend to see that those are the ones that win in the end. I mean, these tournaments are fairly long, and especially when you consider how many games they play in a short span of time. Basically, the Olympic men's tournament, you only have 2 days off between games, which really for a soccer player isn't very much time at all. So we often find as teams that fire on all cylinders early in the tournament tend to fizzle a little bit later on, and the ones that get a little bit better every game are the ones holding trophies in the end. I was impressed with Mexico because this Brazil side, as you said, was absolutely stacked with talent. Their dispensation players were really well chosen in that they brought two central defenders, Thiago Silva and Juan, who are world-class defenders to sort of shore up their weaknesses. And Mexico did a good job of frustrating that. They clogged a lot of space. They broke out very effectively. They really played to their strengths and nullified Brazil's as much as possible.
Yeah, I just, I loved watching them play. I loved watching Senegal play because I lived in Senegal, and I've always enjoyed watching Western African football. So, yeah, interesting analysis there. Obviously, the Premier League was started on Sunday, but really gets going this weekend. We've had a lot of great guests on from England, from ESPN, from Fox, from all over. My question's been all of our guests. Does Chelsea have a chance? We've heard yes, we've heard no. They've spent a lot of money this offseason. They lost, Drogba. They lost a lot of key guys, but they're bringing in a lot of young new talent. Do you think Chelsea can, stick up with the Manchester teams?
No.
Okay.
Chiefly because they're not just going through a lot of turnover and transition right now, but they're changing their style. And that wasn't real visible yet against Manchester City in the Community Shield, which they lost 3-2 on Sunday. But the intention is, and this is certainly underscored by the players they've bought, like Oscar and Eden Hazard and Marco Marino, are all very attacking players. They want to go from the team that won the Champions League last year by scoring a goal and bunkering in, or usually the opposite, bunkering in and scoring a goal at the last moment, being really an old-school Italian Catenaccio-style team that just defends very furiously and very physically and then tries to grab a goal, to a team that's more like Roberto Di Matteo's teams of the past, where they have possession and they play nice football. I mean, clearly the signings they've made are meant to do that for them. But so they're going through a style change, and that takes time to implement and for everything to come together. I mean, as we saw, Hazard, Oscar isn't even there yet. Hazard is a hugely anticipated talent. People are very, very excited about him. But he's got to adjust. I mean, you saw that in the game. He seems a little bit behind the pace at times. The Premier League is just a different level from the French League. It's a different level from most leagues. It's going to take these guys time to settle in, time to adjust. It's going to take the rest of the team time to get used to the new system. Whereas Manchester United and Manchester City are teams that are sort of already built. They're not teams that are rebuilding. They have everything in place to make another run at it. So I don't think Chelsea competes with them this year. I think I don't think they'll end, 20 points out of first place. I think they'll do well. They'll probably end third, but I don't think they're a threat this year.
Interesting. Very interesting analysis there. And speaking of new managers, there's plenty with big clubs. Brendan Rodgers with Liverpool, and, of course, the Spurs have a new manager. Can you talk about the new manager in Liverpool and a new manager with the Spurs and what you expect out of them this first year? Leander, can you hear us? Okay, we've seemed to lost Leander. Seems to be not the best connection, so we're going to try calling him again. But yeah, we were talking. Interesting point there by Leander, talking about Chelsea. Just need to go into this new system. A lot of young players who have played in different systems. They need to blend in and figure a way to do it, and might take a little bit of time. Well, as you said, Man City is pretty much the same team. And same with Man United. They added players, but they pretty much had all their core, a lot of young talent. Let's see if we can get Leander on the line right now. Leander, can you hear us?
Hello?
Can you hear us? Leander? All right, we seem to be having some difficulties, so we're going to take a commercial and see what's going on. So we'll be back on Louis Live in about a minute. We're going to see what's going on.
You're tuned in to the only all-sports talk network in the Middle East, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
This is Tamar Cass, and you're listening to Israel Sports Radio.
Shalom from the United States. I'm Gina Pitts.
Parrish Graham.
Mike Pitts.
Roosevelt Hall.
Mike Roy.
We're your friends from the Pro Sports Lives radio show on WAFS Biz 1190 AM. You're listening to Louis Live.
Broadcasting live from Israel.
IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Sports Drain CC, compression fit, UV protection, moisture wicking, anti-odor, and physique enhancing. Certified by the Circle K. Sports Drains is a revolutionary CC garment that features high performance properties and a compression fit, offering the wearer ultimate comfort and style for sports and everyday wear. Custom logos and team jerseys are available. For orders, please visit TamirGoodman.com. That's TamirGoodman.com.
Broadcasting live from Jerusalem, IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Support Barak Netanya, Israeli professional basketball team, as they give back to the children of Netanya through Netanya Hoops for Kids. Netanya Hoops for Kids serves all of the children of Netanya, especially the ones that need us most. Through basketball clinics held by professional players, at-risk children learn life skills like teamwork, communication, discipline, and community responsibility from real-life heroes. Netanya Hoops for Kids partners with the municipality, schools, and local nonprofits to bring thousands of children to basketball games each season. Join us as a donor, partner, or fan. One city, one team, one family. www.netanyahoopsforkids.org.
The biggest names in sports are all on IsraelSportsRadio.com.
DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJ Venom, DJing parties throughout Israel, birthday parties, weddings, club events, bar mitzvahs, bat mitzvahs, and much more. You pick the type of music, and DJ Venom will turn your event to the party of the year. Available Sunday through Thursday. Call 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. That's 052-952-6506 or email djvenom1984@yahoo.com. Book your party today. That's DJ Venom.
Dimitri Salita, and you're listening to IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Building love of Israel, one sports fan at a time. IsraelSportsRadio.com.
Back here on Louis Live, last 10 minutes of the program, we're going to try to get Leander back on. We've had some issues with his line, so we're going to try to give him a call. And we thank you for bearing with us during this. He is a big guest. We certainly appreciate his time as well.
Right.
So we're going to try to get him on for the final portion of the program. Again, tomorrow, big show. Radio Mike from Kew Garden Hills co-hosting here in studio live. So that'll be a lot of fun.
And we'll do that at the end. Let's hope we can get him on because we're about to get into it.
Leander can hear us.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Okay, we seem to keep losing you. Let's ask the next question before we lose you again. I was asking, you were talking about Chelsea, not new manager, but all these guys coming in, so there's going to be a new style, and they are not going to be able to compete against Man City and Man United. My question for you, we have a lot of Tottenham fans who listen, of course, because of Israel and all the references there and the Yids. I know that some people think that's insulting, but a lot of people in Israel call them that. So I've heard from a lot of our guests that they think that in England and in other places that's insulting, but our guests here do it. Our fans here. But what are you expecting out of some of the new managers, Liverpool and the Spurs? Do you think the Spurs are going to be able to bounce back, or not really bounce back, but not they had a horrible last 3 months. What do you expect out of them? Is Liverpool going to be able to climb up in the standings? A lot of great stuff to talk about. So let's whichever team you'd like to start with.
Well, so let's start with Spurs then. The Andre Villas-Boas obviously has a lot to prove at this point. He walked into a locker room in Chelsea that really wasn't open to renewal, and that just seemed to plain not like him. He tried to clear out a lot of the older players, tried to go with a new style. He brought in a lot of talents himself, and that just ruffled a lot of feathers. So the question then becomes, is he a good man manager? I mean, he did some amazing things in a very short time at FC Porto, but when you get to the ego of the Premier League, when you get to the absolute top of your profession, and I think Spurs is that because it is a very, very big club, even if it's not one of the biggest. Will he be able to get the team on board with what it is he wants to do? Is he going to be able to convince him that modernizing is a good thing? Now, I think he doesn't have as much modernizing to do with Spurs as he did with Chelsea, as they already played good football and pretty savvy football under Harry Redknapp. But so the question becomes, how much does he tinker with the style? Because, again, if he brings in a big overhaul of the way they play, that's going to take some time. If he's smart and sort of sticks with what they have and manages to avoid a late fade, then they can compete with Chelsea for that third spot, I think. Brendan Rodgers at Liverpool's got a huge rebuilding project.
Ooh, right.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, wow. I mean, yeah, absolutely. I was just complimenting what you were saying, so go on.
Because at Liverpool, the last two managers they've had, well, they had Rafa Benitez, who was a modern manager who was smart. He never really won the league, or never did win the league, in fact, but he won the Champions League, and he sort of understood how to operate a modern team. And then following him were Roy Hodgson and Kenny Dalglish, who were very, very old-school English managers.
Right.
And they sort of really reset a lot of what it is that he'd done. Are you there, guys?
Yeah, we're here. We hear you. Yeah.
Okay, I was just hearing myself. They undid a lot of that progress. I mean, they played a flat 4-4-2. They played with the target men and wingers, and it was all very archaic. And clearly, it didn't work. I mean, you could see with Dalglish, he bought almost exclusively English players for some reason, massively overspent on them, or English or British players. And so now Rodgers is already trying to clear out Andy Carroll, indicating that he doesn't want to play with a target man, and he wants to play good possession soccer, quick soccer, the way he did at Swansea, kind of in the image of Barcelona and the Spanish teams. So that's a huge task that's ahead of him because the squads weren't built to do that. So I see Liverpool struggling for another year. Only this time they're going to have the patience and the nerve to stick with the manager and let him actually have the chance to ride all of that out and to come out at the other end with a team that's changed. So I think Rodgers is in for a difficult year. I think he's going to get criticized a lot. There will be calls for his head because it's not going to be immediate. But I hope that Liverpool sees it out because I think he's going to do what needs to be done there.
Yeah, I think it's been interesting to see him with the media, Leander. He's done a lot of talking about how he believes Suarez will only be stronger through everything he's gone through, talking about how he doesn't think the fans are behind him. I'm not really sure if it's a good idea. He definitely likes to talk. We know that. You mentioned the Carroll thing. I kind of want to go into it a little bit more. Last year, what was it, $35 million to get him. So much hype out of him from Newcastle. Really had an up and down season. Played well in the Euro, in my opinion. Had an impressive goal, maybe not play well. What do you think is going to happen here? Will he be playing for the next couple weeks? Will he be shipped out before the transfer window closes? If he does get shipped out, is he going to go to a smaller club? I think this is, I don't know, do you give up on a player in 1 year because a new coach is coming? There's so many questions, so help us address them.
Here are my thoughts on Andy Carroll, and this is going to sound harsh, but they paid £35 million for him. I think if you go into the Championship or League One or one of the other lower leagues, you can find 100 Andy Carrolls, and none of them will cost you more than £1 million. He is just this typical tall, physical British target man, and nothing about him is really special. Yes, he uses his feet pretty well for a man that size, but I've just never really gotten it with him. So then it comes down to how smart is he. This manager clearly has no use for him. He doesn't want a big clotting striker on the field. He's trying to get rid of him. Some players will sort of get the message and leave. Others will think they can change their manager's mind and stick around. Some do manage to change their minds. But I don't see that happening here. So he's already turned down a move to West Ham. He wants to go back to Newcastle. That's understandable. I think if he doesn't go this transfer window on loan somewhere, because no one's going to give them even close to the value they paid for him, then I imagine he goes in January when he's realized that he's not going to play. But I think he's going to be one of those guys that we remember in 10, 20 years as one of those flops where you think, what were they thinking, £35 million?
Right.
Which is what I'm thinking right now.
Yeah. No, it's. I remember hearing that and saying, "Wow, okay, $35 million. Let's see if he's worth it." And yeah, Newcastle though.
Well, that number is partly artificial to sort of understand what Liverpool did there, because they were selling Fernando Torres to Chelsea,
right?
And they had said to Chelsea, we want whatever Carroll will cost us plus $15 million.
Right.
Which is how Torres came to be sold for $50 million, because Newcastle could have asked pretty much whatever they wanted for Carroll. So they didn't really pay for Carroll. Chelsea did, but still the valuation is ridiculous.
No, yeah, that's a great point. But you mentioned Newcastle. Very fun to watch them do what they did towards the end of the season. Then they kind of fell apart the last couple of weeks. But Cisse, as I mentioned, a huge African football fan. My father's worked there for 50 years. I've always been watching Senegal. It's great to see him succeed. Do you think he's going to, I don't want to say keep up that pace, because I believe he had 13 goals in 14 appearances, but is he kind of a rising star this year? They kept him out of the England team, I think, he was coming off an injury. They wanted to keep him fresh. But is Cisse going to be one of these guys who really can make a name for himself in the Premier League the next few years?
I think so. I like him very much. I think Demba Ba is going to continue to do well. They're a really complementary pairing, and they've got players behind them who set them up really well, which is what these things often come down to. I mean, they're going to have to hold on to Johan Cabaye, for example, who's attracting some interest here and there. So if they can keep the supply lines open and they don't change their style, there's no reason these guys can't become really big stars.
Yeah, and do you think, I don't know, do you think they can make the top 5 this year? I know people are saying no way, but people also said that the year before. They're have a lot of history. People don't realize that. Very great fan support, very, very proud club. Is there a chance they can get top 5, Leander?
I don't see why they couldn't be top 5 at all.
Okay. Oh, great. I think so too, but everyone's disagreed with me. So that would be great. Let's talk about another team.
They were fifth last year. I mean, they're just not that far off, you know?
Right. And we got to talk about Arsenal because there are also a lot of Arsenal fans in Israel. And, of course, this whole Van Persie thing has just been going. I mean, it's kind of like the Dwight Howard thing in the NBA for us. We cover all sports. We had someone from Fox Soccer on our show last week tell us that it was a done deal, or the agent was reporting it was a done deal with Juventus. That quickly fell apart. Sir Alex stayed in England and didn't accompany his team to Hamburg to make this a done deal. Leander, is he going to Man United? Could we kind of just say it's over already, please?
No, we cannot. These things aren't over until the player stands in the stadium with a jersey on and a scarf above his head.
Right.
That's just the nature of soccer. I mean, they're going to talk and talk and talk and talk. I mean, at this point last year, people would have put their house on Wesley Sneijder going to Manchester United, and it didn't happen.
That's a great point, yeah. So
it's just, you know, Arsene Wenger is going to have a number in mind. That's going to be a very high number, because he doesn't want to lose him. And he knows that the market for Van Persie is soft. He knows that in today's football, there are only 2 or 3 clubs that can even afford him. So if he sets that number real high, he improves his chances of holding on to him. And Wenger is sufficiently... he's clever enough to know when he can hold on to a player even when the player doesn't really want to go, and he's smart enough to know not to go away from his asking price if he thinks he's not getting a good deal.
Yeah, I think... Well, though, I want to... Is it fair... I mean, this is kind of a silly question, but I've been thinking about it. Is it fair to hold a player back when he's never been able to win trophies, and that's something that's really bothering him? Is it fair to hold him kind of as a hostage, or does Wenger really think that this could be a year where they can make some sort of run? I mean, why keep him? Just because he's so good, or what? You know, I'm just trying to get in, kind of play devil's advocate here.
Well, firstly, I think he has won things with Chelsea. If I'm not mistaken on my timeline, he was there the last time they won something. Obviously, that was a long time ago.
Right.
But this is a business. I mean, if you're in some other kind of business and your best asset you're asked to sell, you'll only do it if you get a return for that asset that you know is a fair valuation. I mean, is it fair? Well, this is professional football, and the guy signed a contract. So, I mean, he has no legal or moral reason to want away just because there's a greener pasture elsewhere. He's making a good amount of money. He's on one of the 10 best clubs in the world. I don't have a lot of sympathy for that situation. I understand that a player is able to make more money elsewhere, and I've never been one to get annoyed with players who chase the highest dollar, because let's face it, everybody does that in any line of work, and they have to make their money in a very short span of time. But Arsene Wenger is absolutely in his legal rights and his moral rights and his footballing rights, if we can call him that, to hold on to him.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Ari and I have had this talk just in baseball when guys demand, or when Kobe Bryant in 2007 said, I want to go. You're right. It's a contract. They're making millions and millions and millions of dollars. We shouldn't feel bad for them. Now, let's get out of the Premier League, and we have a couple more questions before we let you go. And PSG, we've been told by one of our analysts, I believe it was David Jones from Sky Sports, was telling us that right now the rumor around the league is that their goal is to win, and let me repeat that for our listeners, win the Champions League by 2014. I think if it was David and I both agreed that's not a realistic goal. What are your thoughts on that? Are they ready? I mean, they're not really that complete of a team yet. I know they've done very well in France, but are they ready to make that jump? Actually, it was Zachary Rigg from Goal.com, excuse me, I just remembered. But what do you think about that?
Well, just to make sure I heard you right, you said PSG and not PSV, right?
Yeah, PSG. Yeah, absolutely, not PSV.
Okay, checking. This Ajax fan just had a heart attack. But,
right.
The one thing that's really important to keep in mind is that European games are a lot harder to win than domestic games. And that sounds obvious, But at the same time, there's a long history of teams that did really well in their leagues and can't put it together in Europe because it just takes a different level to win. And I think that was most clearly exemplified by Manchester City last year. They had just come fourth, they'd done well, they'd had all this talent on the team, and they bombed out in the first round of the Champions League. You need a team that's been together for a long time, that knows what it's doing, that knows how to win, that knows how to close out games to win the Champions League. It takes years of maturation. You never see sort of a one-season wonder win the Champions League the way you might in some other sports, the way a small college might advance to the Final Four in college basketball or something like that. It just doesn't happen. It's always a big club with a nucleus of players that's been together for a long time. So for PSG to want to win it the season after this one is just, it's an unrealistic timeline.
I completely agree. I don't know. I think the PSG leadership is probably trying to compare themselves to Man City, where Man City had some guys before. I don't know. I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens. Now, in Germany also, there was a game of Dortmund against Bayern Munich. It's funny to hear, Dortmund being the champion the last 2 years and Bayern Munich not. And, of course, Bayern having that, I don't want to say, I'm trying to think of a good word. Did they fall apart against Chelsea? I don't know, but I think they should have won that match. But what do you expect out of them this year? It seems like it's time for them to break out or hopefully win. What do you expect out of Bayern this upcoming season?
Bayern is a really, really good team. Bayern is probably the third best team in the world last season and probably this season too. I mean, they've only really gotten stronger, provided Arjen Robben doesn't, get out of bed and break both legs as he's wanted to do. That's a really good team that people don't pay a ton of attention to because it's in the German league, and even though that's, I'd say, the second or third best league in the world, we just don't watch as fervently outside of Germany. But I absolutely think Bayern Munich could win the Champions League this year.
Wow.
I think they'll reclaim the Bundesliga now that Dortmund have lost Shinji Kagawa and are in danger of losing their that Polish tandem up the right wing and up front. I think absolutely they're a contender.
Interesting, and I know I don't want to really go back to the Premier League, but you bring up Kagawa joining Man United. Interesting signing there. Of course, they had Park before from Asia, who was successful. I think he moved on to a smaller club in England now. But what do you expect out of him with Man U? He's played pretty well in the exhibitions or the friendlies so far, but that doesn't mean much. So what are you expecting out of him?
It does not mean much. I mean, it's hard to tell with Man U because they've brought in some really well-known playmakers, like Juan Varane, or really expensive playmakers like Anderson, and it's not really worked out. You just need to find someone who understands that rhythm and who can play at a Paul Scholes-like level, and this is almost an impossible ask for 55 games out of the year. That's what it comes down to for Manchester United. They've had a number of guys who can do it for 10, 15, 20 games in the year, but they need someone who can be consistent for that many games since they're competing on all fronts every single year. So he clearly has the technical ability. I think he has the vision too, but can he bring that consistency? Can he survive getting kicked at for however many minutes that is a year? I mean, it's a really grueling job being a playmaker for Manchester United.
No, that's also a great point. And just, I guess, two more questions we just kind of do. We're going around Europe. I'm sure you've noticed in Italy, Serie A, Juventus had a really great season last year, won for the first time, I believe, since 2003. And Pirlo kind of rejuvenated his career, had a great year, had a great Euro. I was going to say World Cup, Euro. But what do you expect out of here, out of the Serie A? Juventus obviously are favorites. There's been a lot of moves made around the league. What do you think? What's going to happen here?
I think Juventus is clearly the favorite. I think AC Milan is not going to be a factor this year. I mean, they lost Thiago Motta, they lost Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Paris Saint-Germain. They are so weakened, and they've not really brought in much that I don't see them competing. I think Inter Milan might be due for revival under Stramaccioni.
Right.
Although
It's
it
been a
doesn't
while.
seem to me that they've really changed their squad all that much. I mean, their team was very old. That was the problem. And I don't know that they've really done enough about that. So I don't think they are going to be on top. And then that really leaves Napoli, who I think have, for the last 3 years, have been 2 or 3 players short of being really top-notch, which is why they seem to always fade out of contention by, February, March, April. So I think Juve is going to run away with it.
Right, and of course I believe they beat Man City in the Champions League last year, so they've shown that that they can play, and of course they have a lot of great talent. And now let's wrap up with this, Leander, La Liga. I mean, obviously I'm not going to ask you who's going to come in third place. Let's just talk about the first 2 places. I am going to ask you this, though, before we recap it. Is it fun, or is it a good thing that we know that it's going to either be Barca, Real, or Real, Barca? I mean, isn't that kind of boring, or is that exciting? That's my question for you.
Well, that's the old parity versus, competitiveness argument.
Right.
And I argue that parity is a bit of a sham, because when leagues are lopsided, it leads to better football, because talent concentrates and you create super teams. And when those go up against each other, it's much more interesting. There are a lot of people who are going to be watching Barcelona and Real Madrid beat up on small clubs that they know are going to win, just because they're going to see some really exciting football. And then when they face each other, it's even better. So I don't think it's a bad thing.
Okay.
I think it just makes for more excitement.
Okay, and let's put you on the spot here. Last year, Real Madrid was, I don't want to say they didn't run with it. I believe they won by 6 or 7 plus points. They were able to do it. This year, what's going to happen? Is Barca going to bounce back and win?
I think Real's going to repeat.
Ooh,
if you look at the history of that rivalry, typically when each team wins it 2 or 3 times in a row, and then there's a changing of the guard. And I think Real is now going to hit the peak of the squad that it currently has, and Barca has a new coach, and they've got Xavi's getting older. He's obviously still one of the great players in the world, but they're going to have to start thinking about cutting down his minutes. Barca has a little bit of tinkering to do, so I think Real repeats.
Okay, and you've covered, we've read your resume in the last show we had on, but you've worked in Europe for European newspapers. I mean, is this Messi-Ronaldo rivalry the greatest that you've covered since being a journalist?
Oh, I'd say so for sure.
Okay.
I mean, these are 2 of already the 5 greatest players of all time, even though they're 24 and 25 or whatever it is they are. And for them to come in the same era, that's not really ever happened before. I mean, we're really lucky to be able to witness that.
Yeah, and I mean, not to mention both teams, as you said earlier, it's not only like it's them. They're both teams are incredibly talented. In fact, Casillas is my favorite soccer player. People always make fun of me. Him and Michael Owen. And I'll ask you just our last question.
Michael Owen, really?
Michael Owen. That's I don't know. People, I don't know. There's rumors he's joining Stoke. He's 32 years old. He used to be my idol. I loved him for a long time. Well, what are your thoughts on? That'll be our last question. It's a fun question. What are your thoughts on him joining Stoke, who's really spent a lot of money the last few years to compete? Do you like this kind of coming in as a leader, maybe, or maybe to sub in, or what do you think of this?
Well, it'd be very funny to see him play next to Peter Crouch.
Absolutely, right.
The guy is pretty much twice as tall.
Yeah.
So that would be a laugh. But Owen's one of those guys where you wonder if maybe he lied about his age, because he was excellent at 18, he was world class at 20, and then he sort of fell off gradually from there.
Yeah.
You see that with a few guys. I enjoyed watching him play. He's not really what he used to be. He doesn't seem to be as quick as he was, but he could be fun if he had a little late career revival at Stoke.
Right. I mean, I believe he played pretty well for Man United when he got opportunities. He played he was injured for a while, but when he did go in there, he played well. I think it'd be fun to see him back, and I mean, that's just because I loved him back in the days of Liverpool. As you mentioned, after that, Real Madrid and then Newcastle, it just went downhill. But Liverpool was just great. I bet Liverpool wishes they could use someone like him in their prime, because right now they're really struggling. Leander, this was really a lot of fun. It's always a good time when we have you on. We're sorry about all the technical difficulties, but we were finally able to get it going. And thank you so much for joining us, and we'd really love to have you on again throughout the season.
It was a pleasure, guys, and no worries. I really enjoyed it. And
right.
Call me.
All right, we will. Thank you, Leander. Have a great day.
You too. Take care, guys.
Thanks.
All right, that is going to conclude our show.
That was a great soccer segment. I mean, I was fully focused. That was great.
Yes, it was, and even I enjoyed it to some degree, even though I'm not the biggest soccer fan.
Very good. He's
appealing to everybody.
He should go into being an analyst. He's a huge writer, but it's kind of funny. I could see him being a great. The thing with him is he might be almost too good. You know, some of these. Think about it. Some of these analysts, they laugh and this and that, but he knows his stuff so well and presents it in such a way that even Ari Louis is interested.
Yeah, and you have to keep in mind, I don't want to say if most is the good word. It might be accurate, but a lot of writers at a minimum are not good on-air personalities, whether it's interview or hosting a show. It doesn't always translate, just the way it is. But for him, it does, and he should. If he's not already, be getting offers to do more analyzed gigs and more interviews as well. We're very happy we have him.
Yeah, it was our second time with him. It's actually a pretty funny story. We had Tommy Smith on, which we love. We love Tommy, and he's coming on Thursday, and that'll be fun.
Remember the 13th try, baby.
13th try. That's the first thing he said to us. He's been on, I think, 4 or 5 times since. But, very, very good stuff. We got a lot of great soccer analysts the last 4 or 5 months. And unfortunately for Ari, the season's starting this Sunday and is going to May. So
you know what? I might, believe it or not, I might start watching a couple of games of it.
Check it out a little, man. You know, the big games in Manchester United. LeBron goes, Ari. If LeBron goes.
Kobe's also a soccer fan.
Yeah.
A lot of the NBA guys
Chad Johnson, I believe.
Alex Lewis.
Yeah, all these guys. So I won't say what you said on air about soccer, but if those guys can do it, then are those guys what you said, Ari? And if Moch is listening out there, you know what I'm talking about, and this might sound like an inside joke, but
it is an inside joke. Yeah, but hold on a second. I just want to clarify something. If LeBron James goes to the game, that doesn't mean I'm insulting LeBron James.
Right.
Doesn't mean LeBron James is a soccer player now.
Okay, but LeBron James, not only does LeBron James go to the game, LeBron James has a stake in Liverpool. He owns a part of Liverpool.
Well, it's just good business. If someone gave me a stake in a soccer team, I'd take it. Even though I don't, I'm not the biggest fan. But I'm starting to come around, and it's really, this is where I'm noticing I'm becoming less of an American, because if I was in the United States, I probably would just never watch this. But Israel is right next door to Europe. And
we are Europe.
Some people consider Europe, some say Asia, whatever.
We're not Asia. We can't be Asia.
For sports stuff, we're Europe.
Right. If everyone around us wants to kill us, we're Europe. Let's just be with Europe.
So I am adopting and coming around more on the whole soccer thing, and it's a fun game to watch when the fans are really into it, and they are.
Yeah, and it's. I hope you've learned a lot from just all the guests we've had on. I know sometimes you probably space off. Just like I sometimes space off when you're talking about boxing or history of 1925 Yankees. But,
2018, the greatest team ever.
There you go. Very, very fun interview there. And very happy. Now I'm thinking about what would have happened if we couldn't get him back on. But, everyone needs to know. Our equipment is good equipment. It's just when you call, not a lot of radio stations call London, then L.A., then Philadelphia, then New York, then Tel Aviv. It's hard on the server. I know that people are saying, no, that's not true, but it really is. And we had a great connection today until Leander, and then once we had Leander on, everything was great. I'm not trying to defend us or...
No, we're explaining what happened. All radio shows, we're internet radio, we're the wave of the future, but even dial stations that you hear in your car have technical difficulties. It says, excuse us, we're having technical difficulties. And with us, we persevered and got it back on. A lot of stations would have said, it's not meant to be. Let's not call back.
Yeah, but
we took a commercial, called it back.
Really wanted him, and it was definitely worth it. That's maybe karma. Definitely worth it. By the way, everyone should check out our new website. If you're listening, you probably
if you're listening on TuneIn, go to IsraelSportsRadio.com and check us out there. Check out the site. We have biographies of the team,
right?
Which
we're adding. It's a growing team,
right? We have Clenari is up there and Ari Bluestein.
Yeah, let's read through it real quick.
Yes,
we have a couple minutes. Yeah, and we have our Pete Rose interviews on the front. Our Twitter is on the front, but we have me, Ari, obviously,
me and Raphael in the tux.
Right.
What's that from, by the way? We're at a wedding?
Yeah, it's from a wedding, a very fun wedding.
Okay.
Moshe, Jim. Let me read some of the titles here, Ari, so that you might be familiar. And this is in seriousness. We spent a long time thinking about this. Jim is now our chief sports correspondent because he is. He covers really. I mean, we could talk to him about water volleyball if it exists, and he'd tell you the stats. So,
by the way, just so everyone knows, Jim comes on once a week. We don't give him the questions in advance. No, he just comes on and we throw things at him.
We're that's one of our maybe only interviews that's complete. What's pro
ad lib?
Yeah, but what's the word with comedians when they go up and they just talk? Improv.
Yeah, we just throw things at him. We don't send him scheduled questions, and he never says, I don't know.
A couple times he goes, I didn't see that, and then Googles it and then tells us while he's looking at it. But yeah, David Dewey Pick, who is, in my opinion, one of the best journalists in Israel, one of the best basketball journalists in Europe, has broken a ton of stories, broken a couple stories today.
He's Mr. Eurobasket.
Mr. Eurobasket also works for an Italian news website, Sportano.net, but
and this season will be fun to see him around those basketball games.
Right. Marco Killingsworth signing today. A lot of guys moving around. And then Clenari Carter, who everyone should know is a U.S. Special Forces, ex-U.S. Special Forces. That's equivalent to pretty much Israeli Sayeret Matkal. Those are the top units in the world, really, in Special Forces and the Israeli Special Forces. And then just going down the list, we got...
Yeah, Clenari, there's a lot of respect for Clenari, what he's done with the military and everything.
And what he's been able to accomplish out of it. He's done some work for the Falcons lately. He's done a lot of interviews. He's gone on a couple radio stations throughout Atlanta. He's making the connections. He's contributed to CNN and Yahoo. So we're very happy to have him as part of the team. And he's the only member of our team who's not Jewish. And, in fact, African-American even to go that far, which is great.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't even think about that.
Right.
Clenari's such a part of the family.
Yeah, he really is. We have him on every week. It's different times because he's very busy. He also goes to school. It's really an amazing. So also is married and has a kid. But yeah.
One child.
Yeah, wonderful daughter named Taliha. Very beautiful name. And his wife's name's Nicole. We'll have to have a family session with them sometime. Then Ari Bluestein, who is great, does a lot of work.
That's a great new pick, by the way, he has.
Yeah, very cool picture with him at the Drexel game. He actually told me off air a couple days ago, Ari, he's going to be doing men's Drexel basketball, which is a very big, I mean, they're in the CAA, which is one of the biggest mid-majors. Of course, we know VCU went to the Final Four out of there. Drexel, so he's going to be doing that as well as women's, mostly women's, but going to be backing up that. He also has his own shows or does shows all around Philadelphia and the area as an NBA analyst and, of course, college basketball analyst. Moving on, David Dobin is our New York baseball insider. Has a really great show on MTRRadio.com, which is one of the bigger internet radio, sports internet radios in the whole United States. So we're happy to have him on. We really talked to him about New York baseball.
By the way, he was great because I was making the argument for the MVP, Miguel Cabrera, over your guy from the Angels.
Yeah.
Mike Trout, and David Dobin wrote on my wall, hey, well, someone else agrees with you, Ari. And
Jim Leland, the coach of Cabrera.
Yeah, well, duh.
Right.
But it was funny. Dobin's thinking about us all the time, so I appreciate that.
And his show, by the way, just to give him a plug, his show's Monday, 12 to 2 a.m. our time, 5 to 7 p.m. there. You can check it out on MTRRadio.com.
It doesn't coincide with Louis Live, so, go ahead.
Right,
catch
exactly.
us.
And then, of course, every movie, every book has to have their and, which is pretty much I don't want to say the old guy because Andy will kill me. But let's say
I'll say it. Andy's old.
Okay, the old guy or the veteran.
Andy is old enough to be.
Actually, look at our team. He is the old guy out of our team.
He's the old. Well, we're not saying Jim's old. Yeah, Andy's the old guy. Andy's old enough to be your father. He really is.
So he's the and. So he's the end. He's at the end. He is listed as our founding member because he is with Ari. And he's an advisor, really. He helps us out with everything. And he's on our website everything he posts on his Twitter, and he posts everything about Jewish athletes.
Because he's the author of the book Modern Day Maccabees.
Right, but he posts, Louis Snabachevitz, the swimmer from North Carolina, who is Jewish. He posts everything, so we're going to have that on our website, so that's very big news. And then we should be having a European soccer insider who's a very big fan of our show from a big company or works for a big company, so we're excited to have him. I won't announce it yet because it's not formal and that wouldn't be professional. But yeah, let's, as Ari mentioned, tomorrow, special in-studio guest.
And that's just been confirmed through email, so Radio Mike will be here tomorrow.
Oh, that has been confirmed. Okay. So tomorrow, though, Jim Williams, of course, Danny Brusler, who's come on before, does Rutgers sports, but, we can talk to him about everything. He's up and coming. Mike Tuck, who does ESPN Radio, and Scott French is a soccer reporter. So maybe, I'm not sure if all of them will be on. We need to confirm with all of them. People are very busy. They told us they would, but that was a while ago. If not, we'll have a lot of talking tomorrow. We'll definitely have Jim, and we'll definitely have Danny. Those two are for sure. The other two, we will have to wait and see. And, let's...
So basically, we're now going to thank everyone who came on the program. It was a great, great show. 6 guests, 2.5 hours. We appreciate everyone's time. First, we had Nadine Fahum, who is a Muslim from Haifa, Israel. Israeli Arab that is on the Israeli tennis team and now plays for Duke, and took that squad to the number 3 overall ranking. So appreciate her time on the program. We then had our East Coast correspondent, Ari Bluestein, breaking down the Dwight Howard trade and Andrew Bynum to the Philadelphia 76ers. We'll see how Bynum plays out there. Raphael's of the opinion that Bynum is the better player than Dwight Howard, and the Lakers lost a little bit there. We then had Tamir Leinhardt, who has his own Wikipedia page and is in the Hall of Fame at George Mason for his soccer exploits. And Tamir was great on the program. We thank him for his time. We then had track star Jordan Schlitt, who just a nice young man, and he is also very well educated at his university.
And will be competing in the Maccabi games. And this is great, perfect timing. We
just coming through the office here, the studio.
Right, Mark Serber from Fox Soccer will be joining us as our European soccer insider.
Okay, great.
So we're going to have him on now about every week, cut down maybe on the other soccer guests and give Mark more of an opportunity to come on. Of course, he's come on a lot. He's a great guy. So that's that.
Mark is a great guy, and we're very happy for him to be on the team in more of the official format. We then, after Tamir, we had David Weissman, who has broken down the 2012 London Olympic Games, and he's done a great job. I was able to eat some crow, but he was a diplomatic man by saying we were both right. I like that. I like when we can both be right. Why does one guy have to be wrong all the time? Sometimes we're both right. And we wrap things up with ESPN's Leander.
That's just the way it's going to be because his last name is, I believe it's Sharkelins, but it's very hard.
But some people in the industry are one-name people like Madonna and
right.
Leander.
And soccer, it's perfect for soccer because you have Ronaldo, who never had a first name. You have all those guys from Brazil who just never have first names.
Rodino.
Right. There's plenty. So
in baseball, the closest guy to that is Ichiro. You could say Ichiro, know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but people say Ichiro Suzuki, though.
Right, but if I said Albert, you don't know if it's Albert Pujols.
Big Al, though, or some of those nicknames.
The nicknames, yeah, but just one name. You could say Ichiro and go, oh, okay, yeah.
That's because there's no Ichiro.
Best hitter of the last 10 years. My opinion.
Yeah, maybe we could argue.
And the numbers pretty much back that up. If you just go by
best hitter, maybe not power.
Total hits, not
right
power.
Field
no.
or left field. Yeah,
not power. Just total hits.
Yeah. Well, I think he has the most hits.
I don't think he has. I'm not sure if he has the best average the last 10 years. The year he had the 277 hits, I think he was a 309 or something. But he gets so many at bats as a workhorse and plays all the games.
Right.
At least he did 10 years ago.
Very injured that often. Anyway.
All right. So. Stay tuned tomorrow as we'll have Radio Mike and a lot of great, great stuff. But that's it for tonight. God bless and good night.